through the left side, base hit! Downing is in to score! And DVC walk it off!
That's high step. He looks down the middle of the field. He's going to throw the goal route. Has him in the field. Intercepted, taking it down the far sideline. He steps out of bounds right at the line of scrimmage. And that's how you cap the game up.
Sierra Smith quickly worked around, feeding the hot hand. Jasmine got it! 3 threes for number 23.
Who finds Edwards? Edwards needs to get the shot up. Pulls up a deep three. Able to knock it down!
The counterattack. Here comes Carla Ramos forward looking for Noelle Lemus. She's gotten by the last defender. Valentine comes out. Noelle drills the keeper. Lemus! And that is a DVC victory. And the Vikings are champions of California!
We got a new little segment this week where I'm going to be interviewing Coach Collins before the game, talking about last week and going into this week. So, Coach Collins, thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh, my pleasure.
We'll start talking about, just that thriller of a game. Davies Beaver Stadium and took down the number 3 ranked American River College Beavers. And, let's start. Do you want to start with the good or the bad?
Well, I don't know what bad there is to talk about, so we can keep that quick. But there's so many, not just good things, so many great things that happened, not just last Saturday, but the entire week leading up to it. And there's just a lot of things right now in our program we're very excited about.
Stopping the run has kind of been an issue the first couple of weeks of the season. What do you think you have to do to tighten things up?
Frankly, my opinion is we've done a great job against the run. We've played Fresno and American River that are among the most stout and well-coached offensive lines you will find at our level. And I think those two groups in particular are not just as physically impressive as I've seen in a few years, they're also older and more mature and experienced. So those were two seasoned, talented offensive lines. And I would expect that when this season's over, of the 10 to 14 guys we've played against, those guys are going to be at some quality 4-year programs next year. And we played really well. Stats can be misleading because, we gave up an 81-yard touchdown. We want to have that back on the ground. But overall, what we have put our opponents into consistently are third down. I think we've been extremely stout. I think we did a better job this weekend than we did week 1 of taking away big runs. But when you play two teams that are as committed to running the football as we have had, that have had big physical backs with big offensive lines, the reality of it is you're going to give up some chunk yards. And I think what we did in the third quarter in particular was just kind of win first down more consistently and keep them under 4 yards. And that put their play callers in situations that hadn't been in through the first couple of weeks. That's just a matter of when you play a team that's going to run the ball a lot, you have to understand they're going to have success when they're a good team. But you realize you play 4 quarters and you need to win the game in the fourth quarter. And our guys physically outlasted our opponent last weekend. I think you could really see in the fourth quarter how physically and mentally strong our defense is. And I think we really turned the page in that third quarter by winning some first downs. And now we're pretty excited to take this into this week and, frankly, the rest of the season.
The defense was extremely opportunistic throughout the game. An opening drive strip sack fumble, a pick 6, and then the game came down to the wire. You got the lead, you got to make the stop at the 1-yard line, and you do get that stop with the batted ball and interception. Tell me about that play.
We executed the call. We took away what we felt strongly they wanted to do, was bring the running back out from the left side of the formation into the right flat in that trips bunch that they run. Frankly, that was a play they scored against the team I coached last year in the playoffs to kind of put the nail in the coffin. Coach Kenyon had those guys dialed up, and we just were prepared for it and took away what we were expecting them to do. And at the same time, the guys executed it because there were a lot of different things done during the play that could have pulled a DB, 2 DBs away from the running back. And then conversely, handful of guys really felt strongly the ball was going to the running back, but they still covered their zone. And, we took away the tight ends over the middle. And then, Amari tips it in the air and Rourke intercepts it. So you have, 2 of our more seasoned players. We don't have a lot of seasoned players, but we got 2 on the D line, and they made a play when we needed a play to be made after everyone else did what we've been preaching every week, is doing what is needed to be done when it is needed to be done. And I think that play embodies it more than anything.
That was just the embodiment of everything you've been preaching in the meetings that I was able to sit in, and just kind of showed a lot of the resilience that this team holds and what they've been able to do so far, and kind of a picture going forward into what they can be overall. So switching sides of the ball, I want to talk a little bit about the run game scheme and what you're looking to do going forward. So I noticed, some RPOs, some speed options. The offense looked a little bit different. How much of a factor is that option game going to play going forward?
Our offense every week is going to be styled to have success against the defense that we're facing. And we did run an inverted speed option, frankly, right? And didn't hit, wasn't executed real well. And I think that's some of the issues you're going to have when, especially running a play like that. When you don't do something a lot, maybe on paper it's going to be awesome, and then you go execute it during practice, it's not quite the same as doing it on game day. And so, there were a couple things that we were excited about schematically that definitely gave us some success based on the unique front, in particular, how their linebackers and safeties run fitted the box. You kind of, to be able to account for everybody, we needed to throw off a guy, which is not a staple of our offense throughout the year, but we definitely have the foundation to do it. We ran quite a few RPOs against Fresno that were drastically different schematically, but the concept of reading a defender in their run fit and throwing off of him was something we did really well the week before against Fresno. So we found a way to encompass it in our 11 personnel run game and be able to get our numbers right. They outnumber us if we don't do it without having a dual threat quarterback. See, we figured out a way to kind of get our numbers back and take advantage of how the field was being leveraged. Whether or not we'll see it going forward is going to depend each week on the opponent and how they fit the run, right?
Now let's talk about somebody who's been critical to the offense. David Pierro, he was named a 3C2A Player of the Week after the Fresno City game, and he followed up that performance once again with an identical 134-yard performance, 7 balls this time with 2 touchdowns. Kind of insane to see a guy get 134 yards in 2 consecutive games, but just talk to me about how good Pierro's been at the start of the season.
Right now, David Pierro is everything Diablo Valley football is supposed to be. There's a reason that when we vote for captains every week, he gets almost every single vote. The guys just love him. He's a baller, but it's about how he goes about his business every day. If you had a team where every single player approached football and frankly life like David Pierro, you would win. You wouldn't just go undefeated. You would win every game by 60 points. And the way he asks questions, the way he prepares. If there's not a down and distance given to a play call in practice, he will ask, what is our doubt? What's the D&D? And it's just, Dave, we're working on, Tuesday, install everything right now is kind of first, second down. All right, second and what? All right, I love it, Dave. And the way he works in the weight room, the way he conditions, the way he goes about his business every single day, the way he handles in the classroom. This guy's a Dean's List student. It's just what you want your program to be about. And it's really cool when the guy you want your program to be about is probably the most talented player in the state too, So, a couple of the things you just said, I didn't even realize he had back-to-back 134, and I didn't even know he was a player of the week the week before. But I do know he's leading the state in receptions, leading the state in yards, and tied for touchdown receptions. He's got a lot going on, but he's a guy that, again, you trust. The reason we're playing good ball, right? We came up short Friday against Fresno 2 weeks ago because we were inconsistent with our good ball. But we're playing good ball overall and great ball last Saturday because of the trust our guys have in each other. Just knowing that when something's needed to be done, everyone is going to do what's needed to be done and give maximum effort while doing it. And our most dynamic player embodies that in everything that he does on and off the field. And it's not a sometimes, it's an everyday deal. He's one of the most consistent and positively contagious people I've ever been around. David didn't practice first couple days this week. Hopped in the huddle yesterday, and the offensive line is like fired up. And you don't see. I haven't really seen it many times over my career. The O line gets fired up that a receiver's back to practice. I'm just being honest. So he's a one of a kind kid. We're really, really lucky to have him. And I believe I really thought about this leading off this yesterday. Is as we're building what we want to be a kind of generational program right now for the next, frankly, decades to come. And you want many qualities in your program to be inherited year to year. I really think that Dave is the foundation of what we're looking to build here at Diablo Valley. And I think it's going to be pretty easy in 10, 15 years when he goes into the DVC Hall of Fame. And we're really proud of the program we've built to be able to look back and say, we are where we are now in 2035, 2045, because of David Pierro in 2024.
Okay, now let's switch focus onto some questions about the upcoming matchup against Feather River College. On offense and defense, are there any key players or key matchups to look out for?
Yeah, I think just us doing a good job handling the misdirection that they'll have on offense and not getting lulled to sleep on special teams. They're unorthodox on special teams. Then sometimes you get lulled to sleep, and then next thing you know, the game's changing momentum for all the wrong reasons. Offensively and frankly defensively, we have a game plan. We feel really great about how we want to go about our plan in all three phases of the game. We spent a long time as an entire team going through every phase of special teams. I really believe that every guy in the program needs to know what everyone on special teams is doing. We treat special teams the same we treat offense and defense. The difference is special teams meetings has every single player in the program in it, not just the guys that are involved in those units. We got to line up and execute and play with maximum effort. I mean, this stuff is not that complicated, and our guys have seen it now. We don't need to overcomplicate this thing. We have really good players that can play really hard, and as long as the whole group is following the same direction, and it doesn't, whether it's Kyle Shanahan's offense or Vince Lombardi's offense, it doesn't matter. As long as you have 11 guys running it the same way and executing it properly with maximum effort, you're going to be fine, assuming you have good players. We have great players. So right now it's about getting to the point where we can reach our full potential going into the Base 6 conference and go win this league, bring DVC its first Base 6 championship ever. And we know to be able to do that, we need to play better on Friday than we did last week. And then we need to build on it next week and continue going on that, all the way through November and ideally be peaking around Thanksgiving heading into December and reach our full potential as a team and group of players. So we're just really excited to get another chance to go out there and just get even better, because we know we are not even close to where we want to be. And that's not a negative, because we just beat one of the top teams you'll see in California, and we don't even feel like we're close to where we're going to be. So it's an exciting time right now to be a Viking, I'll tell you that.
The starting lineup at kickoff will be...
And we're live here on DVC Vikings Live. We got kickoff in just about 10 minutes, and we'll give you a quick little pregame show that's going on. The number 15, the ranked Diablo Valley College Vikings, come into Viking Stadium to take on the Feather River College Golden Eagles. So with their team, camera operator Arthur Gilbert, replay camera operator CJ Nawakor, scoreboard operator Shinyo, broadcast engineer Kayla Neal, color commentator Colin Delvin. My name's Max Agrest, bringing you all the action tonight, and hopefully, second game of the season, we'll get all our production issues we were seeing the last time around right, and we'll give you as great of a broadcast as we can possibly put up here. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. We're going to have a great game on our hands. So, let's start with the starting lineup for the Feather River College Golden Eagles tonight, and some key players you want to look out for on offense. We have Brady Osen. He'll be getting the start tonight after the starting quarterback, Michael Kearns, was upended late in that loss to Foothill College, and he did not play the last two drives. Osen ended up going 1 for 2 for 22 yards and had 2 rushes for 6 yards. Osen is a redshirt sophomore who spent the last 2 years over at a D3 school called George Fox University over in Newburgh, Oregon. He's a dual-threat quarterback that has the ability to really just run this option-heavy Golden Eagles offense very well.
And on the defensive side of the ball, I expect to see a lot of nickel personnel. 4 linemen, 2 linebackers, 5 defensive backs. Some key players to look out for are defensive end Aiden Flores and linebacker Marco Cassi. Flores is a very well-rounded defensive end who is a physical beast. The scouting report shows he runs a 4.8 40. He can bench 225 41 times and squats over 500 pounds. Freshman linebacker Marco Cassi is currently leading the team with 12 total tackles, 8 of them being solos. Head coach Nick Goulet believes he is the best player on the field.
And switching over to the other side of the ball, now the number 15th ranked DVC Vikings have shown their ability to get it done on defense. In the opening possession against ARC last week, where they upset the number 3 team in the state, they ended up getting a strip sack fumble by sophomore linebacker Malik Viewens to start the game. Unfortunately, it was a missed field goal attempt on the other side, but that really set the tone defensively for the Vikings there. In the third quarter, freshman cornerback Saphir Stills-Bay came up with a massive pick six. I mean, it was one of those things where you just capitalize on all the opportunity. The ball was juggled by by the wide receiver on a pretty nice route ran, but he was there to pick it up. He stole it away from the wide receiver and took it all the way to the house as about a 60-yard pick six. I mean, an electric play, and that ended up being the difference in the score that ended up getting the Vikings the victory in that game. The game went down to the wire. I don't know if you guys were able to catch the broadcast, but with 1 second left, they drove all the way down the field. The ball was on the goal line. Everybody played perfectly on defense. Coverage perfectly shown by the defensive backs and linebackers covering up their zones, and the rush didn't quite get there, but hey, you know what they always say, if you're a defensive line and you can't get there, throw your hands up. The big boy inside, sophomore defensive tackle Amari Cormier, batted the ball, went into the hands of sophomore defensive end Rorik Hoban, and that cemented the victory for the Vikings.
With defense being played, you also obviously have to play good on the offensive side of the ball, and they had their moments as well last week. You heard Coach Collins singing his praises about David Pierro in the pregame interview, but he's been really all that and more. Leading the state in receptions, yards, and touchdowns, he's going to have a huge target on his back today.
Yeah, I mean, everything is great about David Pierro. I mean, if you were listening to our pregame interview with Coach Collins, he sang every possible song you could sing for a guy, talking about him as a person, talking about him as an athlete, and just talking about him as an overall ball player. We're going to go off the script a little bit right now and talk a little bit of the backfield because we have a little bit of time here. Ferrari Miller has been a great back at times, but the rushing game just hasn't quite been there. The Vikings are going to take the opportunity today to get some of their different backs involved. Ferrari Miller is going to be one of those guys. Jason Wade, who was somebody that played for the Vikings and was a real bell cow back a couple years ago, ended up playing his first snaps of the season after tearing his ACL 2 years ago. Leading rusher with 29 yards, so the rushing game's definitely got to get going, and that offensive line's got to get a push to really allow them to get going.
Absolutely, Max. And one thing, by getting the run game going, you also let your star receivers like Pierro take a couple plays off so they can recharge, and you get them going on the next play.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm just kind of repeating what Coach Collins was saying in the interview, but Pierro missed a couple days of practice as he was recovering going into this week, and when he came back into the huddle in practice, the linemen were fired up. I mean, you hear about quarterbacks, you hear about running backs, but when a receiver gets in there and the line starts getting rocking, I mean, that's a good sign to see.
Absolutely.
Some other guys to look out for, Jake Calcagno is going to be one of those guys. He's going to be playing in the slot predominantly. Caught a screen pass last week, but I can see him making some big plays in this week. Amani Effadil is going to be a guy that's interesting. So Bradley Bittner is the starting tight end for the Vikings, but he's kind of more of that physical blocking tight end. And then when you send in Effadil, you can run some of those different personnel looks where you can put him in the slot. You can have him as the most inside guy in a trips look. He's been a threat, and 6'4", 225, a combo athlete, tight end, wide receiver, and I think he's even played a little bit of running back in the day, too. He's going to be somebody to check out.
Yeah, absolutely, and only 2 catches this year. That's one to watch. He could come hot today.
Yeah, the offensive line needs to get their push. They got Mason Neubauer starting at the right tackle position after, I believe it was Tobin Bunch started the first game, so that's a different look here. And, yeah, we've just got a fun one on our hands. We got a team that runs a lot of options, and we got a team that brings a lot of pressure. So it's a game of discipline at the end of the day in this one, ain't it?
Absolutely, Max.
So we'll take a quick break and be back on the other side on DVC Vikings Live. We are live here on DVC Vikings Live, and kickoff is on our way. So DVC won the toss, they deferred, so they will be kicking it off to Feather River College going first. Michael Volcaro is the kicker for the Vikings, the sophomore out of Walnut Creek, and he will be kicking it over to a couple different returners today. It's going to be Ethan Garn alongside Jalen Ward. They'll be getting the action on the other side for Feather River. Vikings coming off a strong victory last week where they won 28-21 over ARC, the number 3 team in the state. And a great defensive showing on both sides, really. So now let's see the strength of the defense as they kick it off going forward. Wearing the green tops, green bottoms with the green jerseys, white numerals in the white trim. They'll be kicking off to the green helmets, white jerseys, white bottoms with the yellow and green trim. Fielded down by Jalen Ward on the 10-yard line, and he'll run into a pack of Vikings defenders. He'll be brought down 5 yards short of where it would have been if it was a touchdown. So the ball will go out to the 20-yard line, and we'll get it going here.
Something DVC is going to look for early is to carry that momentum they had last week with the pick 6 from Saphir Stills Bay. Hopefully they can continue and do something similar here on this opening drive.
So the offense will come out here, and it'll be led by the second quarterback here, Brady Osen. Osen, the redshirt sophomore from George Fox University, getting the start today. Up back off the right-hand side from the near hash mark. He'll work out of the pistol. A give over to the running back as he tries to weave his way inside. Runs into a couple of Vikings defenders, only getting a gain of 1 going here.
Yeah, you'd expect a couple more yards there with 3 down linemen for the Vikings. It looks like they're going hurry up right out the bat.
Yeah, and expect this team to try to use pace to really kick their game into gear. Up back off the right-hand side, and they'll work out of the shotgun now with Osen from the near hash. Vikings showing a 4-man front now. 2 receivers to the near side. That's a speed option to the right-hand side, and the quarterback trips and falls behind the line of scrimmage. A loss of 3 on the play.
You saw that safety coming up. Maybe he gave him a little pressure there early to throw him off his game.
Yeah, and they ran that speed option, but it was a little interesting because instead of going wide, they went up the field at first. So just like that, it's going to be 3rd down and long, 3rd down and 12 as Osen really hasn't gotten much going here. 2 receivers to the far side between the hash marks here, awaiting the snap. A 3-man front for the Vikings here. They'll send 4 at the end of it. Looking towards the far side, overthrows his intended wide receiver. The receiver did a good job. That was Jeremiah Nash trying to sit there in the soft spot of the zone, but the quarterback wasn't quite able to make the read in time, and that will send out the punting unit. A 3-and-out, and the Vikings get off the field to start this game.
That was 2 slips from Feather River College in the first 3 plays, so you're wondering maybe they don't have their footing yet, not used to the field.
Yeah, I think they play over there on a grass field up there in Quincy. So, I mean, there's a different kind of feel. You have those thicker cleats when you play on a grass field compared to the more track style type of cleat that you see.
Definitely.
So the punter coming out is going to be Chris Raposo, the freshman punter out of Kapai, Hawaii. It's a low snap as the officials call the play dead.
Looks like a timeout.
We'll see, and I think it's going to be a timeout. Let's take the timeout alongside with them here on DVC Vikings Live. And the punter comes back on the field after the first timeout taken by Feather River College. They'll line up heels of the punter at the 4-yard line. Steps forward, pressure comes, and he gets a high, winding punt. This will be fair caught after the sky punt drops down at the 48-yard line. So a net of about 34 on the play for the punter. And now let's get a look of this Vikings offense led by Teddy Boris. Boris last week against American River College, 17 for 27, 248 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, and also had 16 yards rushing as he was scrambling a few different times.
He's found his favorite target. I'm going to highlight David Pierro, something we talked about on the pregame show. Look for him early.
Yeah, and I think we might see the running game try to get their start early as the Vikings will line up on the D, or in between the D and the V of the midfield logo, working left to right. Chest eye snap, they'll give it over to the left-hand side, and it's Jason Wade getting the first carry of the day as he'll get his first start of the season, and Wade goes forward for a gain of 2, tackle made by Marco Cassi.
Jason Wade coming in, he's averaged the most yards per carry for DVC running back so far this year. Look for him early.
Yeah, and it's just such a good story hearing Jason Wade come back. He's fought through so much adversity, tearing the ACL, was such a great player after the COVID season in 2021 for the Vikings. And I'm just so happy to be able to see him out here and be able to still live his dreams as a ball player.
Absolutely.
Up back off the left side of the line, and they'll line up in the pistol once more. Chest eye snap, play action fake, looking down the field as Boris, time to throw, fires away, and it's Pierro again. A terrific breakup as the free safety Julian Gregory came in, read the play perfectly, and bats that one down. So it'll be 3rd down and long after the incompletion.
We highlighted Pierro, and Boris threw it to him. That was great coverage.
I mean, just great coverage because Pierro had his opportunity over the top. I mean, he might have been quadruple covered as all the defense did not want him to get going in at the end of the play. Just a fingertip on the ball and a knock away there.
3rd and 8. Let's see what they dial up here.
From the 49-yard line on the Vikings side of the field, working left to right, the Vikings work out of a shotgun spread. Wade's in the backfield alongside Boris from the far sideline, or from the far hash mark, rather. 3-step drop, pressure comes late, has the ball stripped down. The defender ends up pulling Teddy away from it, and they will fall on top of it.
That's KJ Sweeney, I think.
Hernandez, number 45, the linebacker, drops on top of it. And the fumble on the Vikings, that's the 2nd fumble giving up by Boris on a strip sack. I mean, just that left side, you got to really feel that pressure coming off the blind side, and the Vikings weren't able to do that, so a quick turnover here, and the Vikings will have to face their second possession on defense from their side of the field. From the 42-yard line, from the far hash mark, we'll see what Osen has in store. Motions the receiver across. They'll fake the jet sweep, and it'll be a quarterback keeper. Quarterback looking to pass down the far sideline, beats the double coverage and brings it in down to the 2-yard line. Jeremiah Nash, the most explosive athlete on offense for Feather River College, brings it in down at the 2, and that's how you get your second-string quarterback rolling. You get him a nice shot. The wide receiver does it all, and the coverage was there, but just a terrific throw.
And that's how you take advantage of a turnover immediately.
And looking to run it in now, handoff left-hand side, springs free, and it's Armis Cavan in for the touchdown. And Feather River off the quick change of possession get the first score of the game. They lead 6-0. And now the kicker comes out. It's Chris Raposo getting the kicking duties here. Last time we saw the Vikings play on this field, nobody was really able to get their kicking game going. This time a chip attempt, and the PAT is good. Crosses the T on the PAT, and Feather River gets the first lead of the game as they lead 7-0 with 12:42 counting down here in the first quarter of play. We'll keep it here as both the special teams come out. And, I mean, just quick change of possession. They took the shot as everybody seems to want to do, and it worked.
They took advantage, definitely, Max. And something I didn't get to discuss was on the defensive side of the ball, they brought 5 down linemen, and they were coming with pressure.
Yeah, just you got to be on top of that blind side. You can't let that pressure come off.
That's the most important side.
I believe, Afoa coming off on allowing the sack on that play. So, kicking off right to left, we'll see what the Vikings return team has to offer. Raposo will boot this one away, and the Vikings return men will line up on the 9-yard line. It'll be Amari Taylor back there alongside Sean Davis as the 2 deep men for the Vikes. Hands are up, snaps down, jots forward, boots it with the right leg, and the angled kick might go out of bounds, and that one will go out of bounds, so the Vikings will get a terrific starting field position as the ball will be spotted out to the 30 on this possession. Yeah, I don't know what they were trying to do. Maybe, I mean, the Vikings have some terrific returners. I understand not really wanting to kick it to them, especially if your kicker can't get it all the way into the back of the end zone for that touchback, but out of bounds, I don't know about that one.
You got to trust your unit there. Show some faith in them. Don't want to give up a Penalty. Are they they're gonna have him re-kick this?
Yeah,
Max?
I believe they will have him re-kick it as there was an offsides.
Okay.
So the ball will be moved from the 35 to the 30, and we'll get things going. And Colin, pardon me if I'm wrong, did the Vikings have an opportunity to keep that possession? I don't see if you wouldn't decline a penalty if it goes out of bounds, right? It must be an automatic.
Absolutely. I would assume you take it up around the 35-40 if you could have, but hopefully this provides a spark for them.
They'll re-kick it, and maybe we get an opportunity to see what the return men have to offer. The same situation here, and the ball be fielded down on the sideline as it's Amari Taylor taking it from the 20-yard line, cuts it up from the sideline as he scurries forward down to the 40. It'll be marked down at the 38-yard line. So, I mean, a lot of times the coaches will probably say, hey, let that one go out of bounds. But as terrific of an athlete as Taylor is, I think you'll live with that return.
Yeah, absolutely, Max.
Kendrew Pride made the tackle for the Eagles. And now let's see what Boris and company have to offer here. I mean, they had a run to start. They had a deep shot that was broken up, and then the strip sack fumble. So I believe you got to be weary of the pressure that Feather River can bring here.
Coach Collins will be preaching ball security on this drive for sure.
3 receivers to the near-hand side, and they will give it off over to Wade as Wade fights through the right side of the line on the zone, and he'll go forward out to the 44-yard line after a gain of 5.
And that's Marco Cassi on the defense, their leading tackler with 12 tackles so far this year.
Yeah, Cassie, I mean, there's a reason why your head coach comes out here and particularly calls you the best player on the field. He's made almost every single tackle up to this point. Trips to the forehand side, working out of the offset pistol. And a false start on the Vikings as discipline is going to be an issue. Averaged 9.5 penalties per game. I mean, that's just unacceptable.
That's definitely something they need to work on here early. You can't let that become a habit because later in the season, that's going to bite you.
I mean, you essentially just wiped off the good run, and the first run by Wade goes for 0 now as it's 2nd down and 10.
Right.
And how you lose games are turnovers and penalties. Those are the 2 things that you can really do well to control.
You can't beat yourself, and that's something I'm absolutely certain that Coach Collins would be preaching.
100%. Boras awaits the snap hill. Gets the head high snap. He'll take a 5-step drop. Steps up in the pocket. Fires the deep ball down the field. The high arcing ball will be brought out the 25-yard line. Out to the 10-5. Touchdown Vikings. Jake Calcano streaking down on the post play. And the Vikings break their scoring open with a bomb from Boris to Calcano.
So how do they respond to the false start? Yeah, the false start. They hit you with the deep shot down the field. Julio Hurtado Perez burnt in coverage. Great throw from Boris.
60-yard pass and touchdown for the Vikings here as Boris shows the arc on that ball, and Calcano takes the rest to the house. Awaiting the PAT now. It hasn't been necessarily guaranteed, so let's see what Valcaro and company can do. Snap is down, hold is down, kick is up. Crosses the T on the PAT, and the Vikings tie things up 7-7. We've got an explosive match here on both sides. Bombs drop early for both teams, and we're knotted up at 7 with 11:41 counting down here in the first quarter of play here on DVC Vikings Live. We'll send it to a quick timeout here. Vikings ready to kick it back off after the terrific 60-yard drive. You got 5, or is it 65 yards technically? Because Wade got that 5-yard rush to start. The penalty brought it back, and then obviously Calcano caps that one off. The high kick will be fielded down at the 5-yard line from the near hash mark, and that one's kicked over to Ethan Garn as Garn slips right there at the 10-yard line. And the Feather River coaches to our right-hand side just have their hands over their head as they cannot believe the slippage that is going down on that side of the field.
There was a little slip there. I thought maybe for a second an illegal shove in the back from number 13, JT Hawk, Feather River, but no call.
So from the 14-yard line, we'll see what Osen and company have to offer once again. Last time they were out on the field, it was a very big pass over to Jeremiah Nash, who's the number one threat that you got to look out for. And let's see if they can get their option game going as they line up from the far hash mark. From the 14-yard line, the motion, the up back all the way across, and it's a quick RPO thrown over to the big tight end, fighting his way forward as a flag comes down at the end of the play. Brings the ball out an additional yardage, and he'll get 12 on the play as that was Trace Patterson on the carry.
A herd of tacklers there, Max. Patterson, tough to bring down.
Yeah, Patterson, 6'5", 240 out of Sparks, Nevada. First team all-region, first team all-conference back in high school. Walked on in 2022 to University of Reno, Nevada, so he's definitely got that size. If he can put everything together, I can definitely see him being a Division I tight end.
Absolutely. Looked like an illegal man downfield penalty there, Max.
And that's what happens with the RPO game, especially when your cadence is thrown off with a different quarterback. I mean, you fake the handoff, you're taught to basically block the run.
Right. And that can actually that can happen time to time.
So the positive play will turn to a negative as they're inside of their own 10-yard line. Working right to left, it's Brady Osen between the hash marks from the 9. Belt high snap, fakes the handoff, and no, it is a give. No, it is a pass to the far hand side, left a man open in the flats. That's the tight end once more as he gets 15-plus yards for the first down. Trace Patterson was wide open in the flats. The Vikings did not cover him, and then it was Wesley Garton to bring him out of bounds.
I thought off the line, Dougie Silva, number 47 for DVC, was going to get the block and bat down the pass.
And it's another quick out route, and the bubble screen is brought in only for a gain of 2 as Isaac Matthews took a massive blow at the end of that play.
And there's the guy we're highlighting on defense, Saphir Stills Bay. He had the big interception last week, and here he is again.
And not even just the interception. He had 8 total tackles. When you throw to his side of the field, he's a sure tackler.
He's there. He'll bring you down for sure.
Pistol with the wing on the right-hand side from the far hash mark. 2nd down and 9 from the 26-yard line. 10-22 counting down. An audible by Osen here.
DVC look manned up here.
And it's single high safety, so likely a cover 1. Shifts the wide receiver across, and they will hand it off right-hand side. Breaks a tackle in the backfield, and it's going to be Garton taking down the running back after a nice pickup of 8 on the play. Janarius Jackson on the carry, and that's his first of the day.
Defensive end Rourke Hoban had him down in the backfield. He just couldn't bring him down, though.
Yeah, and Jamarius Jackson, a 3-star recruit, had a bunch of Power 5 interest coming out, Iowa, Georgia Tech. He's a physical Division I type of running back, so he's somebody that you have to watch out for as well on offense for Feather River.
2 men in motion here.
Yeah, 12 personnel, 2 tight ends, 2 receivers, and a running back now, so they'll try to get heavy. Working out of the pistol, the Vikings almost jump off sides, able to get back in time. Tight set off the left-hand side. They'll run power. Sprints his way left. Breaks it free. Another tackler missed at the 40-yard line as it's Jackson breaking his way down the 40. Avoids another defender. A diving attempt, and he'll break free all the way into the end zone. I mean, I can tell you, I warned you, but man, what a terrific play made by Janarius Jackson as he takes it all the way down. But a flag right on the X of the 35-yard line, and a holding call might break the back of the Golden Eagles there.
I didn't see a hold off the line there, but I'm going to focus on the run.
Let's see.
Taking a look at the replay.
So they're bringing it back. I mean, if that ain't a Division I back, I don't know what is. He got
Definitely.
a hold on there as they ran power to the left-hand side. The lanes open. The Vikings missed 3 different tackles. And, I mean, you got to just be taking a sigh of relief if you were the Vikings there.
You can see why he averages 6.5 yards a carry so far on 27 rushes this year. He's a beast, and he got plenty of offers for a reason.
So as the touchdown is taken off the board, they'll line up 3rd down and 11 now from the 24. I feel like you might have to change up the back there as they do. After the long run, they're going to have to bring Armis Cavern.
Definitely
back
after
in.
a long run like that, you definitely got to be winning. Doesn't matter if you're D1, D2, D3, or JUCO.
And there's an injured player on the field. It is going to be Janarius Jackson at the end of that play, and we'll take a timeout as he tries to recover here on DVC Vikings Live. So after the play, able to walk off on his own powers is Janaris Jackson. So I don't know what happened to him at the end of the play, but he was laying down, and the Vikings are counting their blessings here.
It's good to see him walk off under his own power. You never want to see injuries, and hope he's doing okay.
Chips to the near hand side as the Vikings show a too-high look. Brady Osen out of the gun. Wide receiver with the jet motion. They'll look his direction, and they'll throw the go route down the far sideline as they were targeting Kyle Valdez. And that's a nice-looking play there. You have a lot of attention going into the backfield as you run that jet motion, and then you have the go route down the far sideline. Vikings were keen to it, forced to throw away, and the Vikings are definitely patting themselves on the back after getting off the field with 9:16 remaining here, forcing a punt after that electric run from Johnson.
It's a good thing that ball went out of bounds because Stills Bay got beaten coverage. So,
yeah, but a lot of times when you have that too-high look, sometimes you kind of rely on that. So I'm not exactly sure what I saw. Possibly he was playing a zone. I mean, I trust your opinion on that. Puncher out there on the field, and it is Raposo. Another high boot fielded down by number 24. That's Taylor, and Taylor takes it down from the 48-yard line and brings it forward for another 5 yards. And he'll get his way down to the 45-yard line. So the Vikings, after a second punt by Feather River College, will have a great opportunity here from the 45-yard line of the Golden Eagles.
Amari Taylor, actually, 2 kick returns this year for 72 yards coming into today, averaging 36 per punt return. So that's one to definitely watch out for later on.
JT Watt ended up making the tackle after that punt. And now the Vikings offense, after turning it over on their very first possession, they had that bomb to Calcano. And let's see if Boras can, basically capture lightning in a bottle twice. Two receivers split to near hand side. I believe it's Miller in the backfield for the Vikings here. Stretch to the right-hand side, and it's actually Sean Davis as Davis lowers his shoulder, breaks through the first pack, and then it's Marco Cassi once again making the tackle.
I want to give some credit there to Afoa at number 70, the left tackle for DVC. He created a hole for Miller to run through, or was it just someone else there, Max?
No, it was Sean Davis.
Sean Davis, sorry.
No, it's all right.
Great block from Afoa.
And this is the first game we've seen all 3 running backs on the, I guess we're yet to see Amari Taylor, but you've seen all 3 running backs that we've seen up to this point, so the Vikings are definitely shifting things around.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think all 3 have looked pretty polished to start. Not too much to complain about.
Yeah, you're making the first man miss, and you're getting extra yardage where it could have been stopped at the line of scrimmage, so that's always a positive.
Other than the fumble, of course.
Yeah. Vikings shift Pierro, and they'll go an end around. Bring it out to the 40, breaks a tackle out to the 35-yard line, cuts it back, and slips down on the sideline down to the 29-yard line as it's a gain of just about 15 yards on the play. It's Stephen Henry II, the sophomore out of San Leandro, making the play.
Only 1 catch this year for 5 yards, but showing off what he can do, the sophomore out of San Leandro.
Chris Stanley, the defensive back, makes the tackle at the end of the play. And something interesting that you'll notice, Feather River has dorms, so they have a bunch of different guys, Georgia, Arizona, down south. They've got a roster that is comprised all around the United States, whereas the Vikings, for the most part, are here in California.
Had a guy jump offside there.
Spread pistol look for the Vikings here as the defensive lineman got back in time. Head high snap. Pressure comes late, throws it deep, and Boris overshoots his intended receiver. It was number 85. That's Kekoa Lagapa Barcinas. Lagapa Garcinas has been a guy that's been in the Collins system for a while. Was a gray shirt over at City College of San Francisco, a first-team all-league receiver in high school, and he's got that track speed. Ran the 400 back in high school, so he's got endurance and sprinting.
Yeah, and I think that was the right decision from Boris. He had a linebacker streaking down in on him and just overthrew him by a little bit.
Yeah, you would like to see if, especially as the pressure's coming through, designing maybe a few little hot routes underneath so when the pressure comes, he's able to get it out in time. Davis is in the backfield.
Back off.
Stepping forward. Time to throw. Finds the man in the soft spot. It's out to the 10-yard line, the 5-yard line, and a touchdown. David Pierro does it again for the Vikes. Pierro goes forward out for a 28-yard gain and a touchdown as the Vikings take their first lead of the game, 13-7 with 7:26 remaining here in the first quarter of play.
Nice silky route from Pierro there. He beat double coverage and streaked past. Beautiful throw from Boris as well. Great play, DVC.
Yeah, the coverage started to come over to him late, and the two defenders were just trailing, and, I mean, that's not going to be a good sight for Nicolet's team, as that was the number one thing they said they didn't want to give up. Snap is off, hold us down, kick is up, splits the uprights, crosses the T on the PAT, and Michael Vaquero, after missing or having a blocked PAT last week, goes 2 for 2, and the Vikings lead 14-7 with 7:26 in this electric game of 3C2A football. Let's take a timeout here, back on the other.
It's a brick building.
Kicking off for the third time here as the Vikings won the toss, elected to defer. I mean, the score came off a quick change of pace as the Vikings fumbled their opening possession on 3rd down and long. It was a deep bomb set up to a short rushing touchdown for Feather River. But since that point, I mean, the Vikings are the ones throwing the deep bombs down the field.
And we're seeing a clear game plan here. We're only halfway through the first quarter, Max. Halfway through the first quarter. And we've seen 2 deep balls for 2 touchdowns for DVC so far.
Vaquero put some leg under it, and it's only dropped out to the 14-yard line. He's trying to cut back in the middle of the field was the returnman, Ethan Garn, but the tackle was made by number 14 for the Vikings, as it was Anton Monroe making the tackle. Monroe is one of those super interesting prospects for the Vikings here. He's a guy that's already got a lot of interest here, offers from Western Kentucky and Texas State. I mean, 6'4", 205 defensive back who runs a 4.3. That don't grow on trees.
Absolutely. DVC are lucky to have him. So happy he's here.
From the far hash mark, let's see what Brady Osen has to offer. Motions the receiver across the formation. Snap is off. They don't give it to the jet sweep. Instead, it's a rollout right. Osen eyes down the field, throws it across his body, and it's caught at the 28-yard line. Shimmies down the sideline, and a nice completion made over to Traven Vigenser.
Marley Alapati, number 22, got caught in 2 minds there. He thought maybe I should spy the QB, keep him contained, or go out with the receiver. That's one thing you don't want to do.
Charles Cox, the sophomore from Clayton Valley Charter, makes the play at the end of it. And yeah, I mean, this the discipline we were talking about. When you have an option game, it's almost like they run a triple option because you have that jet sweep as the first option, the dive as the second, and the quarterback can either take it or pass it. So it's a complicated offense to run, and that's why you got a veteran guy as your backup in Brady Osen. Handoff right side. Runs behind his offensive tackle. Going forward for a gain of 3 on the play is Armis Cavern out of Las Vegas, Nevada, and the 6', 200 back will make it 2nd down and 7. Marley Alapati makes the tackle for the Vikings.
Gain of 3. 2nd and 7 at the 40.
So it's a 2nd down and 7 from the 40-yard line. Working right to left. Up backs in the backfield, and they'll show that motion again as they send Ethan Garn. Another give up the gut. Breaks a tackle at the 2nd level. And it's a tough run by Armis Cavern as he gets a gain of 7. Or, pardon me, he gets 6, and it'll be 3rd down and short, 3rd down and 1 now from the 46.
Aramis Craven, he's looking like he's ready for this. 12 rushes for 84 yards, averaging 7 a carry coming in today. He's looked really polished so far.
Tackle made by Urame Oshawa. He's got his first playing time, the freshman out of Doherty Valley.
That's a heavy look, Max, on the D-line.
Yeah, and they'll run it down with a 5-man front. So the base 3-4 look for the Vikings here on 3rd down and short. And it's a pass. Looking down the far side, throws it across the middle, and it's snagged on the D of the Vikings midfield logo.
Looks
a nice little slant on the play, and it was brought in by Kyle Valdez, who's had a couple nice catches. This one going for a 1st down out to the 39.
Feather River, great job picking up the blitz, beat the soft zone.
Marley Alapati ended up making the tackle at the end of the play, but the offense is starting to look like it's got something rolling. They struggled a few different times as they had to punt it away twice, but now the explosive plays are starting to pile up. Fullback shifted out to the left, adding this pistol look. And it's a sprint out right, eyes downfield, throws it, it's intercepted! Brought down right at the line of scrimmage, read the eyes perfectly, and Charles Cox with the pick.
I'm not sure what Osen saw there, Max. He was covered all the way by Cox, you said, and just picked off.
Yeah, as we get the replay look here, he sprinted out right. Cox was in the flat, and I think he thought Cox might have got caught up in the rub, but instead fought through it, got all the way forward, and the Vikings get the turnover.
DVC capitalizing on their early momentum. Still not out of this first quarter. We could have a ball game here, folks.
First down and 10 for the Vikings here, and let's see if they can get a quick change of pace score. Late rotational piece, and the Vikings are going to get a penalty called against them. And it's a legal substitution as 12 men were in the huddle. You cannot have that. So after the initial turnover, after the Cox interception, it is going to be a first down and 15 from the 35.
Something we haven't discussed yet, Max, is the connection between Coach Collins and quarterback Teddy Boris. He had him over at CCSF, and he also had receiver David Pierro there, so it's not surprising to see that they've had success so far early.
And a fumble in the backfield as the Vikings fall on top of it. They try to get a quick hitter on the jet sweep there, and the ball was fumbled by the Vikings. I believe it was Stephen Henry. He had success on the end around last time, and the jet sweep puts the Vikings far behind the chains as it's second down and 18 from the 31-yard line, 4:30 counting down here in the first quarter.
I like the idea, Max. Go back to what works. Just simple execution mistake.
Yeah, and it was one of those jet sweep passes where you kind of leave it up in the air and then Henry couldn't get his hands on it. I think it was one of those situations where you look at, or you're trying to run before you get the ball, and that is always a no-no.
What do we think the stoppage is for here, Max?
I'm not exactly sure. I don't see any dirty laundry on the field, do you?
Not at all.
So 4:26 to be put on the clock here, as there is a little
clock mismanagement.
Yeah. So we'll get that fixed up. And funny enough, because the pass went forward and fumbled, the Vikings actually did get a couple on the play. It was fourth down to 18 before, so I think that fumble forward was actually for a gain of 3.
Super heavy look on the D-line. They're coming.
Empty set, pressure comes, and it's a low ball thrown into the knees of Stephen Henry this second, and the Vikings have got to draw something up here. It's third down and 16 now.
Every time Boris is facing pressure so far, the one on the deep ball on the other side, and just now, he is getting closer, and you can see that. That one hit the receiver's hands. He was on target. Hopefully this next one he gets pressured on. He'll have a big completion.
And I think it's just seeing the pressure coming and also the play call being in that has that built-in hot route, because the hot route was there. It was just a little bit of a low-thrown ball because the pressure came so much. Shotgun spread for the Vikings here.
More pressure.
And Boris faces the pressure once again, throws it down the middle of the field, and overthrows his intended receiver. It was Keikoa Lagarpa Barcines running the deep route once again, and he's 0 for 2 trying to find Keikoa down the field, and the Vikings will have to punt it away.
Lagapa Barcines already has a big play today. Boris trying to make it 2 there.
Yeah, he overthrew him on the last time around, and this time, just can't quite connect. The pressure is coming, and if you keep seeing the blitzes coming, you got to start scheming around, and I think Collins and company will do a very good job around that. So we'll see Jacob Johnson boot this away for the Vikings for the first time. A low line drive punt. It'll take an end-over-end bounce, and it'll take a Vikings bounce all the way down inside of the 20, fielded down at the 16-yard line.
I got to tell you, Max, that didn't look great coming off the foot of Vaccaro there, but...
Was it Vaccaro or was it JJ?
It was JJ. That's okay. My bad.
It's all right. So I believe that was a plus 44-yard punt. It didn't look great, but, when you get that end-over-end punt, you get the kind of rugby type of punt going forward. So, you live with it, right?
He got the right bounce, and it turned out to be a great punt.
Any punt inside of the 20 is a good punt, right?
Absolutely.
So very heavy set here now as you have an up back off the left-hand side and a running back. They'll motion the wide receiver into the flat and throw over to him. Read well by the Vikings here. The ball pops out. It's on the ground, and number 1 falls on top of it. That is Jeremiah Nash who gets on top of it, I believe. The Vikings think they've got it, and they do. Nash was on top of it. The Vikings fought for the ball at the bottom of the scrum. and they will take it away. A terrific turnover. The Vikings get it inside of the 15-yard line.
Just waiting for replay here, Max, but the corner beat press immediately and got a hit stick out and punched the ball out.
Yeah, and Journey McCoy falls on top of it at the end. I mean, usually you think about the big boys inside fighting for the ball at the end of the pile, but now you got a one-on-one, and I mean, it's just like rugby going back again. You got that bottom of the scrum, you're fighting, you're hooking, you're trying to get it, and the Vikings end up fighting for it and getting it.
This is great field position to be in, Max.
A first down possible if you get it out to the 2-yard line, and the Vikings will work out of a spread set once more. A pistol look, the back in the backfield will be Amari Taylor, the all-threat weapon, and the Vikings continue to shoot themselves in the foot as it is another false start, and it'll be a first down and 15 now as they push themselves out to the edge of the red zone. And they're going to call that ball on number 12 as the man who jumped off sides. That'll be Robert Morgan, the freshman wide receiver, getting some early playing time.
They're going same formation. Looks like it's going to be the same play. Max trips left.
Same look, trips left for the near hash mark. Borres fires the one-on-one route down the near sideline. There was plenty of contact, but I think both men were playing the ball. No, at the end of the play, the back judge will throw the ball, and the Vikings will likely get a pass interference as, I mean, just a little too handsy by the defensive back.
From up here, that looked like a nice sell job.
Yeah, I think that was Jordan Gray on the coverage. You had a one-on-one opportunity on the near-hand side where it was just, literally one-on-one. And to me, I like to kind of see one of those situations where you let both guys kind of play for the ball. But if you grab over shoulder pads, I mean, you just got to accept that it's going to be a pass interference.
It's something that's going to happen, and I agree. If they're just going at it, both of them, you just got to let them play.
Yeah, but in that situation where the intended receiver was backing his way inside and just reaching over the shoulder, I can see why you call it. Yes, you are playing the ball, but there's a level at a point where you're playing the ball and you're just throwing the receiver down. So it'll be first and goal now for the Vikings, and the ball will be spotted down at the 3-yard line. Pardon me, it's on the 2-yard line now with 3:52 remaining. Turn around, the handoff over to Taylor. Taylor runs in the back of his own offensive lineman, but springs free for the touchdown. 20-0, the Vikings score, and it's Amari Taylor on his first touchdown of the season.
Huge credit goes there to Elias Justice and Hunter Hopkins, the right guard and right tackle. They don't get mentioned too much, but doing their jobs there very well.
And Taylor ran into one of their rear ends and just had the athletic ability and the balance to stay on top of it, go out, and still find his way in for 6. Now let's see what Dougie Silva has. Snap is off, hold us down, kick is up. And Vaccaro, 3 for 3 on PATs. And the Vikings have a 14-point lead at the 3:48-minute mark here in the first quarter. An electric start to this one here on DVC Vikings Live. A timeout and the kickoff on the other side. The 4th kickoff. You heard that right. The 4th kickoff from the Vikings unit here in the first quarter of play. They lead 21-7 here with 3:48 remaining in the first quarter. Yes, you've heard that right. The first quarter of play. Shadows starting to take the field here as it was a nice 80-degree kickoff to start this one. Vaccaro puts as much leg as he can under it, but this ball will drop down to the 10-yard line. It's fielded by Garden, who works his way up between the hash marks. Oh, and a huge hit at the end of the play. Malik Viewins, the linebacker hybrid player on special teams, laid the lumber.
He looked like he was shot out of a cannon there, Max.
Whew. I felt that one up the booth, man. My back's starting to hurt. So the ball will be spotted down. Not a lot of success in the return game, and maybe that's part of the game plan because I have seen Vaccaro be able to put it into that end zone. So The Vikings just trust that their coverage team can get it done. And now let's see what this offense has with Osen once more. Jet sweep motion, give over to the back, and he's upended after only a gain of 2 on the play. Let's see, that was 21 on the carry. That's Cavern once again, and Marley Alapati getting the tackle for the Vikes there. Perfect fill the gap from the linebacker.
Something maybe a little bit of concern for Feather River here is that Jamarius Jackson's still not back in the game, but they have a lot to believe in and running backup running back.
Sitting with his back towards the field. He's still in his pad, so that's a good sign for Feather River, but he's definitely a back that you want to keep in there. Osen doesn't like the look that he sees as the Vikings have an Okie front with 3 players.
Are they going to go double
and
mug?
And the linebackers are going to go mug here. Drop out of the mug, and it's a handoff. Nope, it's a play-action fake. Rolls out to his right-hand side, looks down the field, throws it to the second-level defender, and a nice breakup on the play by Anthony Henry. I mean, that was a nice read by the quarterback as he got the ball over Jeremiah Nash. It was a low to high read. The high man was open, but when you're open and Anthony Henry's setting himself down 15 yards with a sprint, I mean, that is a tough call.
Absolutely. Not the greatest coverage in the world there, but a great recovery from Henry.
And that's what Henry's able to do, even if he is a little late on the coverage. I mean, the man has the hit stick built in. That is part of his attribute traits there. Strong safety for a reason. Single high coverage, so the Vikings likely playing a man-to-man here on 3rd down and 8. Osen claps for the ball, possibly sending pressure off the edge is the Vikings. Puts the pressure there. The go route down the far sideline, or pardon me, the near sideline, and an overthrown ball. The intended target was Isaac Matthews as the ball drops down at the 38-yard line when his receiver's at the 40, and that's the hard part. When you're the second-string quarterback, how many reps do you really get with this first team? Yes, you have the week to prepare, but I mean, that's just, these are the timings, these are the situations, and kind of how hard it is to gauge these the distances here.
And that's one of the challenges you have to face as a backup QB. You have a lot playing against you, but I think he's done all right so far, Brody Austin.
Chris Raposo out there to boot things away. And a 5-yard penalty will go against Feather River. That's going to push them back a little further. The return man, Omari Taylor.
To go back to that last play that seemingly, hopefully, ended Feather River's drive here, was that, like you said, they don't have that chemistry, that repertoire together yet. And so with less time spending together on the field, stuff like that's going to happen between the QB and the receiver.
Vikings put the pressure, and it's going to be a shank punt that is going to bounce down at the 40, or pardon me, at the 35, and take a Feather River bounce all the way out to the 40-yard line. So got an additional 5 yards on the play, but that was only a net punt of about 21 yards. Not what you're looking for, especially when the Vikings have been putting on points in a hurry.
I wouldn't be surprised, Max, to see a deep shot right off the bat here from Coach Collins.
I mean, that's essentially as good as a turnover, because if you throw a deep ball, it's going out to the 40. You get an interception there. You end up in the same situation. So the shank punt is a bad situation for Feather River as they're putting themselves behind the 8 ball once more. Vikings line up 3 receivers to the near-hand side. From the 4 hash mark, it's Boras working out of the pistol. Pressure comes. Give over the left side. It's Taylor, and Taylor tries to break out of the first initial tackler, but Marco Cassi continues his terrific night. A tackle for loss of 4 yards on the play.
There he is again. You thought Taylor was going to get away after the initial hit. No way. Cassi making a very nice play there. Shows you why he's their leading tackler.
Yeah, came into this game with 12 total tackles, 8 solo tackles, a fumble recovery, and 1.5 tackles for loss. He's upping that number there in the tackle for loss category. And the Vikings working out of the same look.
That linebacker's going to come off the edge. Maybe he's faking it.
A 3-man front, and it's cover 0 for Feather River College. Pressure comes late, has to roll it to his right-hand side as Taylor can't get the block off the edge. Flag comes in as Boras rolls out to his right, runs it out to the 40, and he steps out of bounds at the 41-yard line, but likely a hold on the left side of the offensive line, and the Vikings are moving in reverse. So was holding on the right tackle, Mason Neubauer, the sophomore out of Chico. And so the Vikings are in an interesting situation. Yes, you are getting a lot of deep balls, but you're having so many penalties going against you. It is opening up the field for that deep ball, but I mean, That's not the way that the offense wants to draw it up, facing a 2nd down and 23.
Yeah, no doubt. And this is a setback that they want to learn from and look forward to.
Boris sprints into the huddle. And it's interesting to see the offensive line is just – they struggled in pieces here in the second half against ARC. They ended up getting a little more stout, but they're trying to abuse. They're trying to send the pressure, and they do send the pressure continually as the handoff is giving over to Taylor, and Taylor is only able to get – I think they stop in that line of scrimmage there. Yeah, if you're run blitzing, essentially, you can't really run into that. If you're pass blitzing and you don't have enough men, then you need a hot route there. The Vikings need to make it change quickly as they run the hurry up here.
Did you see who was in on that tackle again?
Yeah,
for Feather River?
We're
He's
going
been
to be calling
everywhere.
his name all night long. 3 receivers set to the near-hand side, working out of shotgun. Boris looks at the far-hand side, gets to his 3rd option. The 4th option overthrows his intended receiver there. Terrific coverage on the play for the Vikings as it was number 12. That was Robert Morgan, the freshman wide receiver, who found some space but just overthrew it.
If Boris can just take a little bit off that ball, that's a big play for DVC.
Jacob Johnson.
And so the Vikings have to punt it away for the 2nd time as Jacob Johnson. Heels are on the 32-yard line. This one's a high end-over-end kick. It'll bounce down at the 30, and Dougie Silva, the long snapper, will bring it down at that spot. Not a great punt for the Vikings here, but in a drive where you have so many penalties, so many negative plays, you just got to continue to fight for another day, right?
I guess we're just going to play the whole game at Feather River is 40 today, Max.
Yeah, it seems like that's been the hot spot on the field. 21-7 with 1:07 remaining here in the first quarter. Yes, it still is the first quarter of play. 3 timeouts for the Vikings, 2 timeouts for Feather River. And Osen takes the field once more. Fullback and running back in the pistol. They'll send the jet motion by Isaac Matthews and a false start against Feather River. And so, you hate to see it if you're the Vikings getting so many penalties, but if the sloppiness is going to carry on the other side, you'll just live with it, right?
If it's going to carry on the other side, one thing I'm sure Coach Collins will stress is stop it on your side. Just let them make mistakes, let them play their way into a hole, and you'll find yourself with a big lead.
1st down and 15 from the 34-yard line. Brady Osen looks towards his head coach on the far sideline as he makes the check. Motions the tight end off to the right fullback position. Cavern in the backfield, and they'll give it to him. Runs right into the defensive lineman, couldn't get past that front level, still gets a gain of 3 on the play as Cavern and the Vikings did a good job filling those holes. And that's Caden McIver, the 2-star recruit out of Bishop O'Dowd, making the play. McIver is one of those guys that's a pretty interesting story. He played linebacker in high school, but the Vikings needed a little more depth at the defensive end position, and he stepped up, and he's been making some plays for the Vikings this year. 7th tackle of the year.
Gain of 3, 2nd and 12.
Wing off the right side, facing a 2nd down and 12. 10 seconds left in the first quarter of play. Snaps, gets the belt high snap, looks towards the near sideline. It's Osen working. He's going to scramble, runs up the middle, pushes a defender away, and Osen takes a massive blow as he gets a gain of 2 on the play. Tackle made by Saphir Stylist Bay. And that'll bring us to the end of the first quarter. 15 minutes in the tank here, and the Vikings lead 21-7 here on DVC Vikings Live. Hurrying out to the field, it's a three-man front. It's Dougie Silva playing the right defensive end position. 3 receivers to the forehand side for Osen, facing a 3rd down and 9. It's a screen pass across the middle of the field, and it's caught by Jeremiah Nash as Nash is tackled down after only a gain of 1. The Vikings were right on top of it there.
Looks like I think.
And KJ Sweeney made the tackle on the play, but they'll obviously decline that one as it's a 4th down and 9 from the 35.
You saw a little shoving and pushing there at the end of the play. It was Manjaro Senegal, and he was holding the DVC lineman. It's going to force a punt for Feather River now.
And they'll send Chris Raposo out for the 4th time today. Success early on with the deep bomb, and then the run that made it all the way into the end zone was called back. And, I mean, you only get so many shots in a game situation. And, I mean, how many bullets does Feather River have left? Yes, it's a long game. You still got the whole entire 2nd, 3rd, 4th quarter as the high punt will be taking a bounce at the 50-yard line and be spotted down at the 49. So only a net of, I think they're going to call that one 16 yards. Is that right?
That sounds about right. That didn't look like a great one, Max.
Yeah, and the punting game is not going because the pressure on defense is coming by Feather River, but the Vikings on special teams are putting a lot of pressure on Chris Raposo, and they're forcing him to really just get some bad punts off that leg.
They're matching and exceeding the pressure, and they're putting it all in Feather River.
And talking to Coach Jimmy Collins before this game, he talked about really keying in on special teams and focusing on that as equally as important as offense and defense. And oh my goodness, the pressure came down the middle. A middle linebacker blitz by Marco Cassi, and he gets his first sack of the year as Teddy will be brought down at the Vikings 43, I should say.
Just unblocked up the middle. You can't leave a guy like that going that hard up the middle.
And what do they teach you? Offensive line 101. Block the guy inside. Work inside out. The guy inside is going to get there before the outside guy does, and the Vikings do not do that on the play. From the near hash mark, it's Boris. 3-step drop. Quick screen pass across the middle field. It's caught out to the 50, out to the 45-yard line. A convoy of players in front. Does he have enough speed to get out? It steps out of bounds at the 24-yard line. And it's Jake Calcano with his 2nd massive play of the game.
Give credit to the O-line there, Max. All staying disciplined, not getting downfield too far. Nice screen, nice play. Great blocking.
Jordan Summers makes the play at the end of it after the Vikings rip off a huge gain there. And a switch up at right tackle, I believe. We'll get you the number in just a moment. Vikings lining up. Gets the chest high snap. Pressure comes late. Boris throws the go route down the far sideline. The wide receiver just lost the ball in the air.
That's Jabari Hadnot in at right tackle now for DVC. The freshman.
And the freshman will get some opportunity there as they take out the sophomore and Mason Neubauer. Like the idea there. You had a man downfield. He had a quarter of a step on his defender, but just
it looked like Young didn't know it was coming. Trips right.
3 receivers far side, like you said. And it is Ferrari Miller in the backfield. We haven't seen much rushing by the Vikings in the last few drives. It's hard to do that when you're so far behind the chains, right? Pressure comes again. Miller picks up the blitz. Throw over the top. Couldn't find David Pierro. Pierro ran the out route out to the 20, and the ball was tossed behind him out to the 15. So maybe a little miscommunication here as the Vikings have really started to stall out here. Now it's 3rd down and 10. You are in field goal range, however.
Yeah, it's important not to dwell on this. I mean, that's just a minor mistake, but DVC doing well so far. They're going to try and recover here on 3rd and long.
Yeah, it's been bombs all day for the Vikings here. Back off the left-hand side, working out of the pistol. That's 12 personnel for the Vikes.
That's Bradley Bittner.
Boris fumbles the ball, and he's going to have to keep it himself. Now has a lead blocker in Ferrari Miller in front of him and just makes something out of nothing.
A little miscommunication there on the last 2 plays.
Marco Cassi makes the play, and I think the Vikings are going to stay on the field and try to go for it on a 4th down and 8. Vaccaro has plenty of leg, as we've seen, but hasn't quite been able to dial it in, and the Vikings are going to elect to go for it on 4th down and long.
That's what I was thinking. 0 for 2 so far this year for Vaccaro on field goals, but
in this general range as well.
Right. So it does make sense from Coach Collins to stay on the field and be aggressive.
Shotgun spread for Boris. From the near hash mark, facing a four-man front. Boris, time to throw the go route down the far side, trying to track it down. It's off his fingertips as Jake Calcano couldn't bring it in. Had the defender beat as he was running by number 25. That's Valentin Gabaford, the defensive back, but the Vikings will turn it over on downs. Second turnover of the day on the Vikes.
You know, Max, I'm not sure Boris can put that in a better spot. That's something you're taught as a receiver. Jake Calcano, he's going to be mad at himself for dropping that one. If it touches your hands,
you got to bring it in.
Got to bring it in.
So Feather River able to avoid a bad situation there, and they'll come back trying to fight down from a two-possession deficit. 12:30 on the clock in the second quarter of play, working left and right out of the shotgun. Brady Osen, a quarterback draw, slips at the play, runs forward, able to make a negative into a positive, and a little more positive than I initially thought. Got a gain of 4 on the play after slipping in the backfield.
That's a great recovery from the backup there, Brody Osen.
And it is Chase Casido on the tackle. 6'4", 305, defensive lineman out of Acalanes. Vikings have found some success running this Okie front. And they'll run 3 down linemen once again. 3 receivers to the far side of the field. It's a drop back and a throw to the flat. Caught at the 32-yard line. Being pushed out of bounds was Kyle Valdez. Tackle made by Marley Alapati, and that's just enough yardage to get the first down for Feather River. So after stalling out the last couple of drives, a first down here, and that's got to feel good for the Golden Eagles.
That's something that's tough to defend when you're in soft zone. What beats it is exactly what we just saw. Slight curl.
Shotgun spread, 2 high safety look for the Vikes here. Looking towards the sideline, and Goulet will call the play to his redshirt sophomore
6 DBs on the field here, Max.
And they will run into the 6 DB look. It's a quarterback keeper working out the forehand side, but it's read perfectly by Wesley Garton, and Garton brings down Brady Osen for a loss of half a yard.
The 2-star out of Novato making a great tackle there.
Yeah, Wesley Garton, been one of those guys. I mean, you have a lot of big-name guys, Acevedo, Alapati, that got big-time interest and had a very successful high school career. But when you talk to the coaching staff, when you talk to Coach Kenyon, he talks about Wesley Garton saying he's their number 0 on defense for the Vikes.
And rightfully so, you saw it there. Big hitter.
Jet motion behind the receiver. They throw it into the flat. Read perfectly by Garton once again. And he gets his second tackle for loss on the play as they tried to swing it out to Ethan Garn. And Garn had nowhere to go.
And look who it is again. It's that man, Wesley Garton. All over the place right now.
Garton, 2-sport athlete in high school, baseball and football. He was a 2-time first-team NCAL player at a San Marin High School in Novato.
Like you said, Max, he's doing his best number 0 Marco Cassi impression right now.
Hey, or Carsey's doing a Garton impression.
Hey.
This is DVC Vikings.
There you go.
3rd down and 13, 10 minutes counting down here in the second quarter of play. Working out of the shotgun spread. Vikings pressure with Viewens. And Viewens, a second forced fumble, 2 weeks in a row. And the Vikings drop on top of it down to the 23-yard line. Michael Estrada fell on top of the ball. The late pressure by Malik Viewens works again. And the Vikings will get the ball down to the 24.
Viewens laying the wood there. Absolute monster hit. Forced the ball out.
That guy is special.
He's playing very well right now, and you can see why Coach Collins and this defensive unit is so high on him.
And all 2 facets that he plays. We saw him make a play on special teams early on, and for the second time in a row, gets a strip sack fumble, and the Vikings are set up here with 9:48 counting down in the second quarter, deep inside of the Feather River side of the field. 3 receivers to the near hand side between the hash marks. It is Boris. Boris, time to throw. And the wheel route out of the backfield brought in perfectly, and Ferrari Miller is going in. Get that engine going, Ferrari. 22-yard touchdown for the Vikes, 27-7, 9:43 remaining here in the second quarter of play.
If you watch closely, Boris had 1 target coming out of the snap. He waited patiently, O-line holding their blocks, and a beautiful throw for 6.
Yeah, and you had Aiden Flores, the defensive lineman, in coverage for the Golden Eagles, so I mean, Ferrari Miller against a defensive lineman, you'll take that every time. That's why he was staring him down, and that's why we saw success. Snap is out, hold is down, kick is up. And 4 for 4 is Michael Vaccaro as the Vikings lead by 21 points, 28-7 here with 9:43 remaining in the second quarter of play here on DVC Vikings Live. We'll send it to a timeout. We got a comedian here on color. Tell me what you said during halftime, because that was great.
Well, getting a closer look at the replay, I was just telling Max that you just cannot put a Mack truck on a Ferrari there.
Ferrari's going to gas them out. And that's exactly what Ferrari Miller did, the freshman out of McClymonds in Oakland. You've seen what he's been able to do running that read option, or being back in the read option, and now you see what he can do in the passing game. Kicking right to left this time is Michael Vaccaro. 2 deep man, Ethan Garn and Jalen Ward. End over end kick. This one be fielded down. Nope, it will take a bounce into the end zone. And the Vikings have seen a lot of success kicking it to the return man and covering, but this time around I think they give him a breather, up 21 with 9:43 remaining here in the second.
That was probably a smart play to let it bounce into the end zone. Feather River not having the greatest success on special teams today.
And I think why you have so much success with Michael Vaccaro in those situations is because he's putting so much leg under that ball. And yes, it's not going all the way down in the end zone, but it's the angle. He's kicking it so high in the air and really allowing those coverage men to get down there. So we see him do both. And now let's get a look at this Vikings team once again here as they line up in that Okie 3-man front. They're living out of this 3-4 base.
DVC going to open up with the same defense they just closed the last drive with, 6 defensive backs.
Up back off the right-hand side with 2 receivers to the near-hand side, working left or right, and the white tops and the white bottoms. It's a give out to the backfield, cutting it back between the center and the guard, and that is a terrific starting play on the drive as it's a 15, 16-yard gain by Armis Craven.
I want to highlight Jeremiah Nash there. Great block from the freshman out of Stockton. He can do more than just catch.
Yeah, and that's what you're looking for when you want a wide receiver at the next level. It's not all about those highlight catches. It's about the blocking. And if you get a wide receiver who's explosive as he is and he can get the dirty work done on the blocking as well, that is a positive sign. Shotgun pistol, and the motion the tight end over to the backfield. So it's a 2-back pistol look here. Jet motion by Isaac Matthews, and they will give it once again. Plenty of space up the middle, and another chunk yardage gain of 10 yards. Back-to-back first downs for Cavern.
And Henry making a nice tackle there, but got to give credit to Feather River blocking.
Yeah, and they're just starting to run power and just playing some bully ball at this point. Vikings will make the substitution, putting it out a 4-man front now. 2-back pistol. Another jet motion by Isaac Matthews. And
the center jumped, yep.
But did you see the accuracy of the umpire there? He threw the flag and it hit the ball.
Right where the false start was. Brilliant play from the umpire.
He's got a good wrist on him. I bet you he's great at darts.
First and 15 at the 46.
Ball moves out to the 46-yard line. And this is when you start to see Feather River struggle. It's when they have this situation where they're behind the chains.
We might see them open up the playbook here.
Motion the up back over to the left side. It's the jet motion to Isaac Matthews once more. Give up the gut. Plenty of space. And it's Wesley Garton making the tackle after a gain of 7 on the play by Cavern. And they're really working him like a workhorse right now.
And after jumping on the last play, Austin Portner and Toby Gertzen, left guard and center for Feather River, doing a great job. Open up a hole for number 21, Armis Craven.
And this 2-back look is working right now. They end up putting the tight end off the right wing, whereas they've had a lot of success with him in at fullback. Coming out, and it's Brady Osen working out of his shotgun look. A give out of the left-hand side as they run the sweep. Cuts it up right at the line of scrimmage, and nowhere to go that time around as the Vikings stiffed it out perfectly. Wesley Garton made the tackle alongside number 55, that's Santino Acevedo. 3rd down and 8 after a nice little couple of pickups there. I don't know if it's the blocking, I don't know if it's the fatigue, and I think it will be the fatigue as they bring Jalen Ward in, the 5'8" freshman running back out of La Center, Washington.
He's only had 2 rushes this year, so interesting decision from the Feather River coach.
I think he's a third down back. You put him in the situation and have him possibly run some routes out of the backfield. It'll be a give over to the left-hand side. That's over to Isaac Matthews, and Matthews did not have anything to go there as he's tackled for a loss of 3 on the play. Malik Viewins made the tackle. And so in this situation, it's a little interesting. Feather River continues to show that jet motion, so when they eventually give it to the jet man, it's not like it's something that that you don't expect, but the punting unit will come out. But yeah, that's just kind of the part of that option offense. You fake it, you fake it, you fake it, and when you finally give it, you hope that DVC doesn't want to play the ball disciplined, but they did there, and a nice tackle on the play made by Malik Viewins.
Right, little jet sweeps like that are meant to catch the defense off guard. They've been showing you that look all game, but they hand it off to the running back continuously, but now they show you a different look.
Amari Taylor out to return this punt. And it's a low end-over-end punt as it's fair caught by one of the up men. And that is number 7 making the grab, Jake Calcano, getting the fair catch. Vikings will bring it down to the 24-yard line after the punt. About a 36-yard punt on the play. One of the better ones that he's had today.
That one looked a lot better for sure.
28-7 our score here. 6:08 remaining in the second quarter of play. The Vikings working right to left in their green tops, green bottoms with the white numerals. Boris, time to throw. Rips it across the middle of the field, and it's batted away. Nice coverage on the play by number 19. That is Jordan Gray. I mean, Amari Affadil did find the soft spot in the zone, but I mean, just reading the angles, I mean, that guy's got to have an A in geometry because he read that perfectly.
DVC's award-winning culinary arts program have their
After the incompletion or the ball batted away, it'll be 2nd down and 10 as the clock stops at 6:02 here in the second. 3 receivers set to the far-hand side. Working out of the shotgun is Teddy Boris, a sophomore out of California High School. Boris with the chest-high snap. Throws the go route down the near sideline, and that's a miscommunication between Yannick Berg and his quarterback, Teddy Boris.
I don't mind that, Max, because if you're going to put that only where your receiver can get it, then that's a low-risk throw.
And that's a good sign to see Yannick Berg back. After getting one big catch in the first game of the season for 39 yards, he took off his shoulder pads and seemed like he was injured of some sort, so it's good to see him back and getting some reps here as the Vikings lead 21 points, 28-7 the score here, 5:58 remaining, facing a 3rd down and 10 from their own 24-yard line. Mason Newera is back at the right tackle position. They tried to throw a screen, and the pressure came too heavy. A batted ball by Feather River, and the Vikings will be forced to punt.
I think it was that man again, Max, but we've said his name so much already, Marco Cassi.
Yeah, Cassi is a game wrecker. Definitely going to see him play at the next level if he keep playing. I mean, he's playing like his hair's on fire.
Jacob Johnson, 39, now in.
J.J. Jacob Johnson, the freshman out of Livermore, ready to kick things away. The heels of the return men will be spotted down to the 40-yard line. I believe that's Jeremiah Nash. Low end-over-end kick. It'll be brought in by Jeremiah Nash, and it's a fair caught ball down to the 40-yard line. Good fielding, good starting field position with 5:51 remaining here, down 3 scores by Feather River. And let's take a quick timeout here on DVC Vikings Live. Comes back out in their 2-back pistol look. That's where they've had a lot of their success. They'll motion Ethan Garn across the formation and give it over the back. Nope, it's a quarterback keeper rolling out to his right-hand side, throws it low, and it's bobbled and dropped by Trace Patterson.
Patterson, someone you'd expect to bring that in. Tough play, but definitely should be doing better.
And the Vikings aren't going to get beat on those little flood routes over to Patterson in the flats there, as he really broke free for a couple nice little gains in the first quarter of play, and they've read it real since. Jalen Ward still in the backfield alongside Brady Osen working out of the shotgun. Back off the right-hand side. Fakes the jet sweep. Give up the middle. And the 5'8" back will bring his way forward for a gain of 4. 3rd down and 6. Tackle made by number 91, Rorik Hoban. Hoban, haven't said his name too many times tonight, but obviously we saw his interception at the end of the ARC game.
An interesting stat we have down here, Max. He put on 25 pounds in between his freshman and sophomore year. You're seeing that size on display right now.
That's 25 pounds of all muscle. It's a quarterback keeper up the gut, springs free, and it's Brady Osen getting the first down. You haven't seen him call his own number too many times tonight. Was hit pretty hard the couple times that he did it early on in the game, but this time a very successful play as he gets forward for the first down.
And I'm going to give some more credit to that offensive line. They're doing their duty. They're doing the work in the hard trenches.
And so a first down and 10. Feather River hasn't gotten a score here in the second quarter, but has started to find a little bit of success offensively. The ball will be spotted down from the far hash mark at midfield, working out of that two-back pistol once again. Osen whips it to the near-hand side. That's caught by Jeremiah Nash, and Nash gets enough for 6 yards. Tackled down by Saphir Skills Bay, and it's going to be second down and medium, second down and 4.
Stills Bay, decent recovery. I couldn't tell there, Max. Help me out here if he was in man or zone there, but
in that situation, you'd likely be in zone. I didn't see the coverage, to be honest, but I mean, when you're coming from that angle, typically zone.
That's still a really nice tackle from the freshman out of Oakland.
Two-back pistol look. The Vikings matching up with the single high coverage, so it's either going to be cover 3 or cover 1. Likely man-to-man coverage for the Vikings here as they show pressure off the edge. Fakes the jet sweep. Handoff up the middle once again. And you lose the smaller back behind some of those bigger offensive linemen as he wicks and weaves and curves his way through the offensive line for the first down as Jalen Ward. And they will get a first down here from the 39.
Eagles are moving at the 39.
3:35 counting down here in the second quarter of play. Vikings are definitely going to have to make an adjustment here with this two-back pistol look. It's been working so well in the second quarter. Play action fake. Osen throws into quadruple coverage, nearly intercepted. The Vikings had a cover 2 look there, tried to feed it over to Travin Vigenser, and the Vikings just swarmed on top of him, breaking that ball up. Second down and 10.
And I think defensive lineman Arami Oshawa had a big part to play, coming right up the gut, and he almost hit him hard.
Second and 10, same formation here, 3:20 remaining from the near hash mark, working left to right. Osen collapse, sending his receiver in motion. That's Isaac Matthews this time. Another give, met right in the hole. A terrific job by the Vikings there, and it's KJ Sweeney filling the hole, making it 3rd down and 10 after the rushing attempt by Jalen Ward.
KJ Sweeney finally getting the defense into it here, diagnosing the run early and making a very nice tackle.
KJ Sweeney, All-State, All-Bay Area player, went to Lawrence University, a D3 out of high school, and now he's here trying to prove his worth, seeing if he can play at the higher level. And a timeout is taken. We'll take the timeout alongside with them here. 3:10 remaining here in the second quarter. 28-7 is our score with 3:10 remaining in the second here on DVC Vikings Live. Back on the field here, and you got to believe that you might go for 4 down territory in this situation. It's 3rd down and 10 from the 40-yard line. Obviously, you're going to have some routes that try to get the first down, but you might live with the shorter route and try to go for it on 4th down in the situation.
Definitely could see a short play here to set up 4th down.
Knee-high snap for Osen. Osen throws the quick slant, dropped at the end of the play. And that's a tough situation. You had the possibility of the first down as Kyle Valdez had the ball in there, but the Vikings didn't stop fighting, and now you're going to have to go for it on 4th down and 10. And that's exactly what's going to happen.
The punting unit
knocked it away.
The punting unit hasn't looked great so far for Feather River, and it makes a lot of sense down 21 early.
Taking a shot here. 4th down and 10 from the 39-yard line, right in between the C logo of the DVC midfield. Jalen Ward still in the backfield. Belt high snap. Osen throwing the go route. One-on-one coverage down the field. Brought it in. Didn't get his feet out of bounds. Jeremiah Nash with an explosive play as he had one-on-one coverage against Saphir Stills Bay. But pushed out of bounds. Didn't quite get his feet. And a turnover on downs. The Vikings turned it over on downs before. Now they got their payback with 3:04 remaining in the second quarter.
Give credit to DVC and the defense. Brought extra pressure, and it ended up paying dividends.
So the Vikings offense had a lot of success early on with some deep balls, but the last 3 or 4 possessions have kind of started to stall out. Let's see if maybe they can get their running game intertwined here and start finding their groove that way.
Just over 3 minutes here. I feel like it's important to get that score before we head into the half.
Shotgun spread. They'll do the jet motion and give it over to the motion man. Out to the 40-yard line, finds the edge, cuts it up, bounce back inside, out to the 50, and a pickup of 10 yards on the play. A terrific job by Stephen Henry II. Didn't have success, or had success the very first time. Messed it up the last 2 times, but it's a part of your fold. It's a part of your action. You got to trust your players, and they did exactly that as the ball's brought out to the midfield straight.
And I like it. Stay true and trust your plays. Trust your players.
1st down and 10, 2:35 counting down here in the second quarter of play. The Vikings trying to get one final score, and they will get the ball back on the other side of the half as well. Pressure looking like it's shown on the other side. Out of the shotgun, the jet motion again. Boris, time to throw, steps up in the pocket, overthrows David Pierro. The pressure came, had his man there, but just enough of an itch at the back of his neck to make him overthrow that ball. And it's 2nd down and 10 as a flag is on the far-hand side on the 46. And it's an offsides on the defense there. That's what happens when you got that cover 0 blitz. You get a little antsy. You step over the line, and they'll pay for it here. 1st and 5 now from the 45-yard line as the Vikings get to the Golden Eagle side of the field. .220 remaining here in the first half of play. In a half dominated by the Vikings. It started out with a fumble by the Vikings to a score by Feather River, but since then it's been all Vikes. They faked the power, and Boris just dropped just drilled, I should say, as he let that ball go.
That was JT Hawk, the strong safety, in on a blitz.
And, it drops harmlessly into the dirt, so you're just going to live to fight another day.
Pick yourself up and go again.
Boris getting his head coach to give him the call. Brings into the huddle. And they'll hurry up here with 2:15 remaining. 12 personnel for the Vikings here. 2 receivers split out to the far-hand side. It's a give up the gut. Plenty of space. Bounces outside, out to the 30, the 25. No one to beat him. He gets into the end zone. Sean Davis springs free. Goes forward for the touchdown. 45-yard rip, and the Vikings lead 34-7.
We take a look at this replay, Max. The left side of that offensive line, Alakai Afoa, doing a great job on the edge to keep the guys blocked.
Just sealed it out. The perfect read by Davis, and then he had all too much speed. The safety over the top couldn't get there, and the Vikings get the score.
That's going to be huge going into the second half, Max.
Snap is off, hold is down, pressure comes off the edge, but doesn't get there in time as Valcaro gets the PAT, and the Vikings lead 35-7, 2:07 remaining here in the second quarter of play. It's been a barn burner in the Valley. So let's take a quick timeout here, be back on the other side of the break on DVC Vikings Live. Valcaro looking to boot it away right to left. Puts the leg into it. It's a low line drive kick that'll bounce it at the 10 and go out of bounds. So another possession with some pretty good starting field position for the Golden Eagles here with 2:07 remaining. Trailing by 28, and Valcaro slapping his thigh with the T at the end of the play.
He knows that wasn't his best.
He's had a lot of success today, but, I mean, ups and the downs, that's just how you got to do it. So now you have 2 timeouts in your pocket for Feather River. 2:07 remaining in the first. So you're going to have the 2-minute timeout, so maybe you try something a little tricky. You got the extra timeout. See what
Absolutely,
they
might go back to that run game one more time before. What's going on?
We got a stoppage in play
timeout
there. And so last time Feather River was in this look, they line up on the far side, or the far hash mark, and they've got 3 men in the backfield. So you have your tight end line up as a fullback or an up back off the right-hand side, and they motioned the deepest man back last time around. Let's see if they end up with a heavy look or if they do send the man in motion. They do send the man in motion, and it's a give up the middle as a flag comes in at the end of the play. A loss of 2 on the play as it'll be 2nd down and 13, depending on what this flag is. 52 made the tackle on the play for the Vikings. That's Derek Reither, the sophomore defensive end out of Concord. So it's a false start, and it'll move them back. No, the penalty would be declined, which I kind of expect in that situation. You got to tackle for loss. You can't ask for much more than that.
Absolutely. I think it was an illegal shift there.
And so a timeout by DVC. The penalty declined, and we'll take the timeout here with 2:03 remaining. Leading 35-7 are the Vikings here on DVC Vikings Live. Two timeouts for Feather River, 1 timeout for the Vikings, and I think the Vikings want another shot at this one as they take the timeout, stopping the clock here, and they'll get another free timeout here at the 2:03-minute mark.
And why not, Max? Their offenses looked really polished, really nice in the first half.
Yeah, you really polished or really poor because it's kind of been a little bit of both. The offensive linemen have had some struggles pass blocking, but I mean, when you're up 35-7 in this situation, you'll live with it. Trying to sprint his way and bounce outside to the left is Caverin, and he'll get a gain of 3 on the play as we reach the 2-minute timeout here. 2-minute timeout, Vikings lead 35-7. The clock will stop, and it'll be a 3rd down and 9 on the other side of the break here on DVC Vikings Live. .157 remaining here in the second half, or second quarter of play, I should say. And it's a speed option out to the left-hand side. The pitch out to the running back, and a tackle made. Jalen Ward got the pitch. He went forward for a gain of 4. A flag comes in at the end of the play.
That's going to be a hold on Isaac Matthews. You could see it up here from the booth.
And 55 made the tackle for For the Vikings, it's Acevedo.
They're going to go ahead and decline
Yeah,
this.
you got to decline in this situation.
Opt for the punt, yeah.
In this situation, you cannot, especially with the way your offense has been playing, you cannot go for it. So now the timeouts have been paying dividends as the Vikings still have a timeout in their pocket. With 151, Feather River have to punt it away, and the Vikings look to possibly get one more score and then get the ball back.
Right, that would be awesome. That's the ideal scenario. Like you said earlier, you don't want to keep this offense off the field for too long because they've been rolling.
I mean, this Coach Collins team they're mad about what happened in week 1. They got their behinds kicked by the Rams. They came back, took it out on the Beavers up there in ARC in that blazing hot heat, and they brought all that fire back with him into this game against Feather River College. So, timeout on the field as because I think you declined the penalty, the clock will continue to run, so the Vikings have to take the timeout to stop the clock. But let's keep it here. Colin, I mean, there have been ups and downs, but I mean, I don't know how many downs you really got when you're up 35-7 for the Vikings. Talk about this team, talk about this scheme. Tell me what you're seeing.
For sure, it seems to be working. Offense and defense are working simultaneously, off ball, on ball. Everything seems to be working. Like you said, one thing we'd like to see better in the second half is pass blocking. Boris has taken a couple of shots, and you don't want to have to go to your backup.
I mean, in this situation, if you're up a lot, you've got a terrific backup as well in Marcus Sanders.
That is true.
I think you might, if you're up quite a bit, maybe you get those second-string guys some burn there, as Boris has definitely earned his keep here in the first half.
For sure. I think this might maybe be an overstatement, correct me if I'm wrong, but if DVC gets another 7 on the board here, we might see the second stringers trot out for the second half.
It's a different punter this time as Gary Schnepp in the backfield. It's a low end over end kick, and it'll be fair caught by Calcagno once again at the C of the Vikings logo, and it'll be a fair catch out to the 40-yard line. And it's I think that's only a gain of 21 on the punt.
That one looked better up here, but I guess not.
Looks can be deceiving. So the Vikings looking to score one final time here. No timeouts left. Up by 28 points here. It started out Feather River's way as they got a strip sack fumble, ended up getting a huge bomb down the field, scoring the 2-yard rushing touchdown. On their second possession, they broke free for a huge rushing gain for a touchdown, but it was called back for a holding, and since then, it's been all Vikings. Give up the gut, and the Vikings will trust Sean, is that 28? Yeah, I believe.
That is, yes.
So it's Sean Davis who broke free for a touchdown in his last possession. Got a nice positive gain of 4 yards on the play, and the Vikings will run the hurry up here. 1:30 counting down. Lining up with an up back off the left side of the offensive line in that 12 personnel look. Out of the pistol is Boris. Boris with the belt high snap, stretch over the left-hand side. Sean Davis striking free, and he'll take it to the 30, the 20, the 10-5 touchdown. DVC springs free with Sean Davis again, and they lead 41-7 with 1:14 counting down.
I just want to make a quick correction there. Sorry, Max. That was Omari Taylor.
Oh,
looking
24.
Subbed in quickly.
Taylor got one touchdown on the day, and that's that track speed you're talking about as Omari Taylor rips one. Man, I mean, when you got such athletic backs as the snap and the hold are good, and the kick is up and good once again as the Vikings lead 42-7 here with 1:14 remaining. But when you've got that track speed with so many different guys back there, it's easy to confuse them, right?
Absolutely. I've called him out a few times today, but I'm gonna go back to this O-line. Charlie Kruger, the left guard, and Ben Florkowski, the center, opening up a giant hole for Taylor to run through.
When you're giving the center and the guard that much love, I mean, they're doing something really good. Usually, you pick on the big guys up in the middle. They do something wrong, you got to call their name out on the flag. But, I mean, when they're pushing forward and they're springing open holes like that.
You got to give them credit.
That's great.
Absolutely.
That 12 personnel has really been working.
Another
so 2 timeouts, 1 running back.
Another thing I wanted to mention, Max, was if Vaccaro is now 6 for 6 on PATs now. So maybe he's building some trust. They'll trot him out for a field goal or two.
Especially
next
like the last few PATs have been pressured. They've had pressure in his face, but he still was able to get it out. And now he jots forward, puts plenty of leg, a high kick, fielded down at the 5-yard line, and that's brought in by Garn. Ethan Garn trying to sprint his way to the near-hand side, a missed tackle out to the 20, and on the numbers, he's tackled down by 3 different Vikings defenders. And the man leading the charge was Malik Viewins, who continues to have a great day.
He's having a day. Got to give two his flowers.
Yeah, Malik Viewins, when I saw all the talent coming at the linebacker position, I mean, he was such a good player in the Vikings trying year last year, and I was wondering how he'd fit into the situation. And when I tell you, he's fitting well, he is absolutely doing it.
He had a sack and a forced fumble last week, and he's just done a lot of good stuff here today. He's continuing his performance from last week.
And Sean Davis on the near sideline working out with the trainers. It looks like he's going to get the thumbs up, so it's good to see him able to get that going there. And it's a give up the middle. Plenty of space out between the hash marks. And it's Armis Cavern with the pickup of 11. And I think they're going to keep this one churning as it's going close to the end of the first half.
DVC almost 2 penalties on that play. Little helmet-to-helmet action, and they could have had 12 personnel on the field, but neither were called.
Yeah, and this is where Feather River has found success. They stalled out a few different drives, but they got in a few different first downs. I mean, both teams in their 12 personnel are working out. You've seen it as a trend in the NFL, and in the JC game, it's working too. It's tough to get good tight ends, so it's interesting to see it being so powerful.
Absolutely. Low snap there.
Bootleg out to the right, eyes down the field, nowhere to go, throws it late off the fingertips of Trace Patterson once again, and the drop ball will stop the clock with 30 seconds here.
That's the second time Patterson's had a ball thrown at him, and he just can't reel it in. Not too much pressure around him, so you'd expect to see him haul him in.
And now it'll bring second down and 10 from the 29-yard line. And at this point, I mean, you're down big, you're down 35. You just got to work that offense. There's one thing that Coach Goulet was talking to me about before this game, and he was saying that we got to find a way to get our offense in a groove. They found their way early on, but since then, the Vikings have been sending so many different looks. You start on the Okie, and then you bring the mug look. You start on the Okie, and then you send the outside linebackers out to make a 5-man front. And it's just all these different appearances from defensive coordinator Nate Kenyon is, I think, confusing the backup quarterback.
It's working out for DVC, and ever since they brought those 6 DBs out on the field, it looks like they've settled in really well, and they're able to contain that motion every single time Feather River tries something like that. And
I think that really just speaks to the depth of the Vikings, that your strongest unit is arguably linebacker, and you're able to run dime and have that much talent there. Right. I mean, you have guys like Anthony Henry, Anton Monroe, Journey McCoy, Saphir Silas Bay. I mean, these are some high-level guys, and if they can get their academics right, you could see them playing at big-time four-year schools.
Absolutely, Max.
Jet motion, they'll fake the give and give it up the gut one more time over to Jalen Ward, and Ward has had a very successful day on the ground as the ball pops out. Try to give him some flowers, and the Vikings might have gotten another turnover. A rush of 6, but a fumble at the end of the play, and the Vikings get there. Falling on top of it was Journey McCoy, talking about a guy that can play at the 4-year had offers to Reno, Fresno State, Sac State, and redshirted his year over at UNR, and comes here and really, I mean, we've said his name quite a few times here.
And we were just talking about that linebacking unit. It was number 22, Marley Alapati, forcing the ball out. The freshman out of San Mateo, he's a 3-star linebacker who had an offer from UNLV and Army. He actually committed to Army, but ended up decommitting about 2 weeks later.
I mean, can't blame him. West Point is a different place.
That's a different place from Diablo Valley for sure.
And the Vikings looking to get some more points on the board here as they'll send up their starting quarterback, Teddy Boros, once again. Fires towards the near sideline, and it's caught past the 30-yard line. And a rip ball over to Stephen Henry as Henry gets a gain of 8 on the play, stepping out of bounds, stopping the clock at 18. And now this is just situational football. If you're put in this situation in a different game, maybe, I mean, these reps will pay their dividends, right?
Absolutely, Max. And I think what they're going to do here, we just spoke about it, is they're going to try and get it in range for Vaccaro because he's been so good on PATs. They might want to give him a shot on a field goal.
Yeah, get some confidence here. I mean, obviously you want to go for 6, but maybe you set up the situation up big. Shotgun look with the spread. Looks towards the near sideline. Late pressure comes. Boris is going to run for it out to the 25, out to the 20, the 10, the 5, gets a block, step
stepping in. Touchdown, Vikings. Stephen Henry caught that pass. He's the lead blocker that time around. And the Vikings, after only a couple seconds off the clock, continue to beat down on the Golden Eagles. And they lead. I mean, I can't even do math at this point. They were up 48 to +6. That's going to be 54 or 53-7 now. Man, I'm failing math class right now.
No worries, Max. Number 4, you got to give number 14 his flowers there for sure. Great block on the outside from the receiver. And there he is again.
Yeah, and the pressure comes, but Bakar was still able to knock it through. And so it's 49-7. So that's why I was a little confused. They changed the scoreboard before I looked up, and I was like, huh?
No worries,
But hey,
Max.
the Vikings with an absolutely brutal first half for the Eagles lead 49-7 with 11 seconds remaining. And, I mean, everything's gone right. You got a 42-point advantage here.
Something like I said, we've been talking about it all day long. The run blocking has been on point. And I know that was a pass play and a great scramble from Teddy Boris, but Ferrari Miller this time, the running back, came up, held the blitz. They were bringing at least 5 or 6, and Boris just got to the outside and got through.
So you're saying when everybody executes, good things happen.
You could say that.
And the good thing about it, too, is we talked in part of my meeting that I had with Coach Collins before the game. He talked about, I mean, you don't necessarily have a dual threat guy. Boris is one of those guys that wants to stay in the pocket, but when a lane presents itself, hey, pushing 260, I might be able to take that lane, and he obviously took it, showed the wheels, and he got the touchdown.
6'2", 200, that, like you said, that's the ideal weight for a field general, someone to stay in the pocket. He took off there, though.
End over end kick will bounce into the front of the end zone. And a little bit of extracurricular activities on special teams, but no flags come down on the field. And good sportsmanship at the end of the day, so maybe it was unintentional. So likely you're going to see a rushing, call it a half, because it's been a half that Feather Rivers wanted back. It started out in their favor, but since then, I mean, the Vikings have been pillaging and they've been taken over. Pillaging just for fun.
I like that play on words there, Max. Vikings pillaging.
And they won't even hand it off. It's going to be a knee taken. And that'll send us to a half. 49-7 is our score at halftime as the Vikings completely dominate. The game started out pretty hot for Feather River as they got that strip sack fumble, went in for a big bomb and a score. The Vikings scored one play later. I believe it was Calcano who got that big pass into the end zone. The next play, the ball was at about the 40-yard line, and it was a huge run by Janarius Jackson, who ended up scoring on the play, but a holding call brought them back. And since that point, it's just been a plethora of different Vikings having success. We'll try to get you some stats here at the halftime break. I believe the rest of our games will have live stats, so that's positive. But for now, I mean, Colin, you want to close the half out with anything?
For sure. I just want to highlight something we've talked about all half long, and that's been the run blocking for DVC. It's allowed them to build this now 42-point lead that they take into the second half. In order to just keep going, I'm going to shift it over to their defense. They just got to stay focused, stay locked. They've already got a massive lead, so they don't have to do too much.
49-7, our score at the halftime break in this extremely long first half. We kicked up at 5:30. It's been an hour and 37 minutes in this first half, so maybe we see a little bit of a different situation in the second half as the Vikings will start to keep the running game going. So with that, Colin, it's been a pleasure having you on the call so far, and we got another second half of action coming up in just about 19 minutes here on DVC Vikings Live. About 50 seconds left at the halftime break. And unfortunately, we do not have live stats today, so I can't quite give you everything that's going on. I got some tackles for you, so.
Hey, that's better than nothing.
Yeah, leading tackler for the Vikings so far is Malik Viewens. He's got 6 total tackles, also has that strip sack fumble that resulted in 6 points for the Vikings as well. Second leading tackler is Wesley Garden, who has 4 solo tackles. I'm sure he has a few assists in there as well. And on the other side for Feather River College, number 0 is doing the most. He has 7 total tackles and a tackle for loss.
I want to focus on Malik Viewens, number 2, the sophomore out of Pinole Valley. We have down on our notes that he's a good coverage linebacker, and he was last year. And the fact that he's added this today to his game, tackling, he's really been an all-around great player today.
So why that note is down on the paper is when COS came here a couple years back. This is actually it's 2 years ago. I don't remember.
Some time ago.
Yeah, exactly. We played College of the Sequoias here, and they had a huge, big, talented tight end who was expected to have a heck of a night. Viewens shut him down in the coverage game. Ended up with one of the biggest plays as he knocked the ball loose to essentially win the game. So that's why Malik Viewens is touted as such a good defender. So kicking off right to left, wearing the white tops, white bottoms with the green tops. And it's kicked over to Amari Taylor, who is tripped up at the 25-yard line after a gain of 15 on the play. But Feather River, like we said before, the Vikings got a score at the half. They got actually 2 scores at the half. And, yeah, they are just foot on the pedal. They're keeping it going.
We said one would be awesome to be coming into the second half with a 35-point lead, to be coming in with a 42-point lead. They heard us, and they doubled it.
And Marcus Sanders will come in, just like we said, the sophomore out of James Logan in Union City, the 3-star former walk-on to Oregon, redshirted over there. Let's get to see what Sanders has in his game. He'll line out of the shotgun and give it over to Ferrari over the left-hand side. Ferrari racing down the side, and he sprints forward for a gain of 2 as he's tackled down inbounds, only a gain of a couple.
Something we mentioned at the end of the first half is that if this lead stands, and it is where it is, 42-point difference, we'd see Boris out of the game, and sure enough, the 6'5", 215-pound sophomore Marcus Sanders into the game.
Aiden Flores made the tackle. And let's see what Sanders has on tour. He started a few games for Laney College last year, came here today. Boris ended up beating him out, but he's a talented guy. If you make the roster over at Oregon, and he's going to have an opportunity to pass it, throws into the flat. It's caught by Bittner, and Bittner No, that's actually 46, not Bittner. So 46, not 40. That's Jordan Brown who comes up and makes the catch on the play. But you got 2 big blocking tight ends. Sanders led the guy perfectly. Nice hand shown by Jordan Brown, and nice 1-for-1 to start this half.
Absolutely, and it's like you just said, he's a 3-star recruit. He walked on at Oregon, 2-sport athlete. He played football, and he also played baseball.
Pitcher.
He was a pitcher, and we're about to see that arm today.
12 personnel for the Vikings, strong side off the right side of the offensive line. From the near hash mark, Sanders looking towards the sideline, getting the call. 2 receivers split out wide. And it's a 3rd down and short. Pressure looking like it's coming from the middle. And Sanders will let the clock tick down to 0, so the Vikings have to take a timeout, and it's not quite the start you're looking for. Collins is going to his big quarterback and explaining the situation here.
Not at all. Coach Collins didn't look happy about that. He thought his 3-star should have had known what was going on there.
So the Vikings will burn an early timeout, but in a situation where it's mathematically pretty hard to get in the situation. When we were looking at some of the tackles, and we don't have an official play count, but I believe Feather River has run double the amount of plays that the Vikings did in the first half, and the score shows the story because of the fact that it seemed like every single score came off a big play.
That just tells you that DVC have been executing, and every time they get the ball, they're making the most of their opportunities, and the defense is doing their job as well.
And a timeout taken here to try to get the operations going and sending it back on the field. I want to see some of these changes at offensive line as Aaron Strickert will start at left tackle here for the second half. But the Vikings have talked about their depth at offensive line, and it's going to be interesting to see some of those second units there. Jordan Brown motions across, and it's Ferrari tackled at the line of scrimmage, but the momentum brought him forward for the first down. Ferrari Miller had a really nice run in that first half where he got the swing pass out of the backfield. But now let's see what he can do in the rushing game. He was the lead back for the Vikings in the first game against Fresno City College, but since then has he's been overshadowed by some of the terrific performances by the other guys.
And if you're Feather River here, this isn't not exactly the start you wanted. You've already given up 2 first downs, and it's not been bright. If you wanted to come out with a quick 3 and out to get back on the ball on the board, but time's ticking off, and we'll see how this one goes.
And that nickel look, one high safety. Vikings continuing to show that pressure. Look, they run power with the up, back pushing the other way, and Miller was read perfectly that time around. And that's one thing you have to factor in this situation. The Vikings will, I don't know how deep you're really going to the playbook in this situation. I think at this point, you're happy with what's going on, and you just kind of keep the clock running. You might see Sanders come out for a few passes in some difficult situations, but I think more than anything, the Vikings are content to just tick, tick, tick as much as possible here.
For sure. Clock management is the most important thing now for Coach Collins and his team. It's something that they want to focus on throughout this second half and just melt the clock away.
Miller's going to line up off the left hip, sidecar left with Sanders here. Pressure looks like it's coming from the C-gap. Jet motion, and they'll give it off over to 84. Finds the edge, sprinting towards that sideline, and he's tackled down just about a yard shy. It's Stephen Henry on the jet sweep there. Jordan Gray made the tackle, and that play has had Henry's name all over it all night long. He's been the guy getting, I believe, 6 carries now out of that jet sweep.
He's run that very well, and he's had a couple that have busted into long plays.
Yeah, and that one, it's a good pickup. It's second down and, I think, what was it, second down and 9? You get a pickup of 7 on the play, and you make it third down and manageable, and that's all you're really looking to do now. So it's third down and 2 from the 45-yard line, third down and short. Not manageable. Trips out to the near-hand side. Sanders reaches out his hands, gets the chest high snap, and he'll pass. Pressure comes late, throws the flat, caught at the 50-yard line, the stutter step, and brings it down to the 41-yard line as Stephen Henry, back-to-back plays, moves the chains. And a nice little pass by Sanders.
And you see why Oregon he walked on at Oregon.
You still got to get recruited to walk on.
Exactly. So you see what they saw in him here. That was pinpoint accuracy. He had the time to throw, kept composed in the pocket, and made a very nice throw over to Henry for his second play in a row.
And not trying to talk down on anybody, but Laney did not have the most success protecting the quarterback last year, so he's a guy that's really used to getting put under pressure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Up back off the right-hand side. And it's 12 personnel once again, the 2 blocking tight ends in the game. Miller still in the backfield. A low snap handled well, and Ferrari runs in the back of his pulling guard as he hit the back of Toby Bunch and gets dropped for a loss of 3 on the play as 53. Let's see if I can get a name to that number. That is Zaylen Washington, the linebacker, coming up to make the tackle. So it looks like some of the reserves for Feather River are coming into the game now too.
Yeah, absolutely. It makes sense. Like I said earlier, there's already been 5 minutes off the clock in this really methodical drive. This is exactly what DVC wants.
So in the very slow first half turns into a churning clock second half, and it's another give over to Miller, and Ferrari sprints free, and he's going to break one through the 15, 10-5, touchdown Vikings. Another big run for the Vikes, and it's Ferrari galloping through the hole, a 49-yard touchdown for Ferrari Miller.
Well, once a Ferrari gets going, you're not going to catch him, and all credit to that offensive line again between the center and the right guard. I think those are still Ben Florkowski and Eric Asvit.
Yeah, and I think more than anything, too, this team has given up hope because those safeties were in the position to make a tackle, but they were caught watching. Valcaro, another opportunity to keep a perfect day, and able to do so as it is 56-7 after a 5-minute and 7-second first drive for the Vikings, turning clock and adding 6 here. And this is turning into a stat padding game.
A bit of a rout now for DVC. I wouldn't be surprised if we just continued at this pace, Max.
And Collins, this is the one thing You really got to respect about him. It doesn't matter the situation that you're in. He's still going to coach you extremely hard. And as he's talking to his kickoff unit right now, he's still coaching them up as if they're almost down.
Yeah, it's something Coach Collins places a heavy emphasis on. He wants his players playing at 100% at 100% of the time. In fact, if they're even playing under that, he will take them out and he will put someone in who is willing to give more than 100%.
I mean, that's why you're a two-time Coach of the Year, two-time champion as well. And that's how you send out 200-plus recruits, 125-plus Division I scholarship offers during his time at the City College of San Francisco. And I mean, I don't know how to say it aside from the Vikings got a steal. They stole the best coach in the 3C2A.
James Collins is very underrated, and I'm super excited to see what he can do for this program.
High angle kick brought out to the 10-yard line, and it's a nice return this time by Ethan Garn as he's had a couple different opportunities. This time he brings it past the 30-yard line, brought down at the 32, and I believe it was number 14 on the tackle. That's that's the return. Who do we got on the tackle? Number 30, the man on the tackle for the Vikings, and that is Jalen Ward, the backup running back. So let's see what this Feather River College offense has as they get the ball for the first time in the second half with 9:48 remaining in the third quarter. Chest eye snap, and it's give up the middle. Nope, it's a play action fake. Thrown over to the big tight end across the middle of the field, and he rumbles his way forward for a gain of about 5 after the initial catch. And it's a nice play made by Patterson, I should say. He had a couple opportunities in the flats where he dropped the ball the last few times around, and I think that's just a confidence booster, leaving some of your starters in there.
Yeah, for sure. Keemon Brown in there on the hit. Coach Collins getting his backups in the game. Very solid backup, number 32, the 5'10 redshirt sophomore out of Fremont.
Yeah, he's one of those bigger nickels at 5'10", 185. I guess not in size, but in terms of like his hitting abilities. Up back off the left-hand side from between the hash marks at the 45-yard line of the Vikings. It'll be Brady Osen working out of the pistol. And it's a give up the middle. Space to go and a sprint all out. Gets a gain of 13 for Jalen Ward. And that's one thing that the Vikings did not do that well, even though they were up big. They gave big chunk plays over to Jalen Ward. I don't know if it's a sight thing or what, but I mean, the 5'8 running back is hiding behind those linemen.
For sure, only 9 yards coming into tonight. He's found his pace tonight, and it's paying dividends for Feather River offense.
And that's going to be a really big thing because I don't know what the situation with Janarius Jackson is, but if you lose your bell cow back, I mean, that's going to hurt you in the long term. So finding a small runner who can run physically as well is going to be a good thing for them. Play action fake, finds the post route, and it's caught by Jeremiah Nash as Jeremiah Nash runs between two different defenders, and he's brought down inside of the 20-yard line out to the 17 as it's a nice pickup on the play.
Nice tackle from KJ Sweeney. There was a soft zone, and Feather River beat it.
25-yard reception on the play from the freshman wide receiver. And in this situation, I mean, you're here at junior college to win, but also to get film. So these situations matter oh so much. Even if the score doesn't necessarily tell much, you're still getting good film out there.
Absolutely. It's imperative for both teams to stay on their game here late.
Isaac Matthews fakes the jet sweep, and it's another give between the guard and the tackle as Jalen Ward continues his nice little evening forward out to the 11-yard line, and the tackle was made by 13 Journey McCoy, one of those starters still out there. Oh, it's actually Keeman Brown. I heard 13 and not 32. That's my fault.
Another nice tackle there. That was a hard hit.
Man, told you he can crack. Redshirted at Laney, all-conference DB in high school, calls this game fast, physical, and technical, and he's showing that right now. Jet motion in that big look, and another give makes a tackle miss in the backfield. And was his knee down in time? Nope. Springs free for the give and the touchdown. Jalen Ward gets the first score for Feather River since the opening moments of the game, and it is 56-13, 6:55 remaining here in the third quarter of play. Jalen Ward having himself a day.
For sure. And that offensive line, got to give them their props on that drive. They just drove down the field and punched it in.
And now the first opportunity for Chris Raposo to get a PAT. Snap is off, hold us down, kick is up. And he's able to keep the night perfect on both sides. 56-14 our score here with 6:55 counting down the third quarter of play. We'll take a timeout here on DVC Vikings Live. John Brown, the comedian. We've got a lot of jokes floating up here in the booth. The golden voice of the Vikings, the Hall of Famer. On PA, as always, for the Vikes.
There's another one.
Low end overhead kick, and it's a short kick fielded by one of the upbacks, taken away out to the 20-yard line, breaks a tackle at the 25, and the jump cut results in a tackle over to the 26-yard line. And the tackle was made by number 5, and that is Kendre Pride. And it was 84 on the return, I believe. That's Stephen Henry II. So he's got a lot of touches in the last few possessions. He wants to get his name down there on special teams as well.
Absolutely. He's going to transfer by tonight if that's the case.
Touches all you can ask for, right? That's the thing about the receiver position. It doesn't matter how wide open you are. You still need to have the delivery get to you. And I mean, it's a nice thing when you get some of those pot passes in the backfield or those jet sweep. I know. So in the past, back when I was playing, that jet sweep was always a handoff. When did it switch over to that little give pass that gives the yardage over to the quarterback?
You know, I'm probably not old enough to say, but it's become that pop pass that you're talking about.
And now it's Sanders coming out for a second drive. A mistake there in the backfield as he handed off the wrong way from what it seems in the counter play. And the running back there, we'll try to get a number in just a second, will be tackled on the backfield as Jared Kukan, the starting defensive tackle still in the game for Feather River College, will make the tackle. And we got Amani Holiday in the game for the Vikings, the freshman running back. Sprint right, Sanders, eyes down the field, pressure comes late, able to fire away in time, and just seemed to have thrown it in a weird spot, threw it between two different receivers, and was number 11, Elijah Stafford, not being able to bat that ball down. So the Vikings facing a 3rd down and 12 here with 6:12 remaining in the third.
Sanders had 2 bearing down on him, so to get that ball out was impressive, but you'd like to see a little better.
Third and 12, and they'll come out in a trip slick to the near-hand side. From the far hash mark, Sanders, 6'5" of him standing there on the hash. Belt high snap, sprint right, pressure comes to his face, throws the screen pass, and it hits the back of a Vikings offensive lineman there as they try to get the running back screen over to the flat. And the Vikings, after scoring on their opening possession here in the second quarter, or in the second half, I should say, will have to boot it away. Good job by Feather River's mixed group of backups and starters here.
Yeah, for sure. Jared Cuenca getting in there again. He's been in there a couple times so far for Feather River on the past 2 plays, and he's done a very good job. And
the third punt of the day for J.J. Jacob Johnson. Deep man for Feather River will have his heels down at the 46-yard line. No pressure here, full coverage. It's a high end-over-end swirler, and a terrific job by the Vikings coverage team, forcing a fair catch by Jeremiah Nash. What a leg. That was a great punt there.
That was a great punt. And great coverage. Coverage team.
Trying to do some quick math in my head here. And I believe that is a 41-yard punt at the end of it all.
Not bad at all.
Do kids know what a scientific calculator still is, or you guys all just use your phones?
That's a throwback.
Is that
for
just,
sure.
It's all just Chat GPT now?
It's all just Chat GPT. These
And
kids don't even use their brains these days.
The iPad update, too. The jet sweep given out to the forehand side, and it's a nice pickup of about 5 yards on the play by Ethan Garn.
That was nicely designed. It fooled me up here. I thought the running back had it, but they've been doing that all night long, and it seems to pay off on plays like that.
Donovan Robinson makes his first tackle, from my knowledge, there.
So I definitely would say we're probably not going to see Janarius Jackson anymore.
No, I
with
think
this deficit.
he's still padded up, but helmet kind of off skew on his head. I think you live to fight another day here, and you just try to get some more reps for your backup, who is in for an undisclosed amount of time now. And a handoff up the middle. Jalen Ward, who got a touchdown on his last possession, only able to get a gain of 1 on the play. Langston Cook with the tackle.
Cook, the freshman defensive lineman, with a nice tackle.
Yeah, got a tackle last week after not playing against Fresno City College. And the 6'4 freshman from right across the street getting some playing time here. And now situational football for some of these backups here. 3rd and 4 from the 43. Up back, line up as a wing. He's going to motion from left to right. And it's Osen out of the pistol. Another give right-hand side, and the Vikings tucked that one all the way. The pressure came off the side by Langston Cook, and he made a huge tackle for loss in the backfield. They tried to do the stretch to the outside, but you know what happens when you run stretch? You leave that backside defensive end there. A perfect jet motion there, and I mean track speed for number 57 in green.
Absolutely. Langston Cook flying in to make another beautiful defensive play.
6'4", 230, man. I mean, he's not the biggest defensive end, but when you got wheels, I can see why you're that size.
Giving Ferrari a run for his money with the name.
And so, I believe that is 83, Gary Chenette, the sophomore out of Sparks, Nevada.
Well,
this would be a low wobbling punt fielded down at the 24-yard line. A cut one way, a bounce back the other way, and Taylor's out to the 40-yard line. Makes a defender miss initially, but the defender was able to sneak up on him, continues to pull the pile down, and it'll be dropped down at the 43-yard line. A return of 22 on the play by Taylor.
If you look here at the replay real quick, Amari Ford, number 29, almost had the block there on the punt, but it got through.
And so the Vikings will get a stop on defense, and it'll be 56-14 here with 3:47 remaining in the third quarter of play. A first half that took an hour and 38 minutes, and now this third quarter has been squeaking by. I think both teams kind of just have that feel of it. Oh, no. And a jump off sides for the Vikings here, as it was number 12, Robert Morgan, the wide receiver, jumping off sides.
You just have to keep your discipline there, Max, because the Feather River the defensive front was in shambles. They had no idea what was going on. So if you keep your discipline there for half a second to a second longer, you're going to get a penalty or you're going to get a free play of some kind. You just got to stay focused.
Sanders out of the gun, bobbles the snap. He'll have to keep it. Has a lead blocker in front of him. Sanders runs out to the 35-yard line, turns the corner at the 40, and a terrific job there, sliding. Gets 4 yards, and you slide to live another down. I mean, I've seen it too many times where a quarterback bobbles, has the ball, has a lead blocker, and wants to do too much. But that is a heads-up play there by Sanders. Get a couple, make it a third down and shorter, so get 3 yards on the rush and live to fight another down.
Yeah, no doubt, Max. He turned a potential disaster into something for the Vikings.
So from the far hash mark, 2nd and 12, 3:13 counting down, I should say. It's a read option, give over to the back, springing his way past the second level, spins out of the tackle, and it's Holiday breaking free for a gain of 13, 1 yard shy of the first down, but the Vikings have gotten the Feather River side of the field. Third down and 1 on the other side.
Give some credit to that right side of the offensive line. Jabari had not in there again. We've mentioned his name earlier down in the trenches. Doing a very nice job on that last play.
Vikings lining up in the trips look. Lone receiver on the bottom side of the field. Didn't get quite a number here, and a flag comes in as the Vikings do get the first down. It'll likely be a holding call. And getting back to it, it was Robert Morgan, the lone receiver on the near-hand side. Oh, it's a chop block. So you can cut block a defender, but you cannot have somebody holding them up. So it was a double team by the offensive line, and one of the offensive linemen probably slipped. And good call.
No doubt. That's not one you see too often, but good job by the back judge? No. the umpire to spot it and get it down.
So the 15-yard penalty will push the Vikings and make it a 3rd down and 16 after the play. The clock continues to run here, 2:22 counting down to the 3rd quarter play, and Sanders has an opportunity to show off the gun once again. Working out of the shotgun, Holiday's the back alongside him, sidecar left. They'll shift him right. Belt high snap, looking down the field, throws off his back foot, has a man in front, and Amani Effadil did a terrific job. The ball was placed in a great spot, but the defender did not give up as it was Valentine Gabaford on the coverage there, but the strong hands of the 6'4", 225 freshman out of Palo Alto able to bring it in.
And all credit, obviously, to Elfadil, but I want to also say pinpoint accuracy from Marcus Sanders there.
Yeah, just a terrific spot there. And that's how you get yourself out of a bad situation. So now it's 1st down and 10 from the 34-yard line. Sanders will give. It's a sweep over the right-hand side. Bounces way out to the corner. Breaks the edge. Out to the 30. The jump cut inside. Out to the 15. And a high-flying tackle made. But continued to fight forward for an additional 4 yards. And there was Holiday. Let's check out this replay here,
Watch
Colin.
on the replay here. Number 12, Robert Morgan, your farthest man down on the screen. Great block on the edge to set up a very nice run for Amani Holiday.
And then at the end of the play, just a huge hit flying through the sky, gets an additional 4 yards. And with under a minute to play here, the Vikings have an opportunity to get a 1st down still from the 1-yard line. And now have 13 seconds to work out a 4-man front, and the Vikings have to take another timeout. And I understand you're up big, but I can tell you these guys aren't going to be happy at practice on Monday. With all these fouls and all these situations, you know they're going to be running gassers.
You can see Coach Collins every single time he comes off the sideline. There's something he's not happy about. And you go look at the scoreline right now. It's 56-14.
Doesn't
it
matter.
Doesn't matter for him. It does not matter. And he will chew his guys out no matter the score, no matter the situation, if he's not happy with something.
And so one big thing that Coach Collins talks about all the time is leadership. He defines leadership as by example. He wants your guys to go out there and lead by example. Do the right thing every single time. And you know what's not the right thing? Letting the play clock go down too much. You know what's not the right thing? Cut blocks and 15-yard penalties.
No
Gotta be on top of it.
No doubt. And what comes to mind when you say things like that is steal. We got a good one here at DVC.
100%. I mean, Christine Worsley, athletic director for the Vikings, thank you. Vikings working out of a pistol spread. The back is still Holiday. Sanders will motion his tight end across the formation. It's Effadil, the bigger receiving tight end. And the give to the back, but terrific job by the defensive front sniffing that out. A tackle for a loss of 2 on the play, and it'll be 2nd down and 12 at the end of it.
Amani Holiday looked shaken for a second, but credit the D-line for getting in so quickly.
Bruno Lacchio, the defensive lineman on the tackle for Feather River. And that might, I don't know, there's a 3-second difference between the play clock and the quarter clock, so the Vikings will have to run one more play here. Sanders reads the defense, and it'll be a sprint right. Stiff arms the defender to the ground, but a good job fighting through it, and it's a tackle made by Zaylen Washington, his 2nd of this half. And with that, 4 seconds, 3 seconds, 2 seconds, 1 second. We don't have a horn working here, but a horn is ringing, and the Vikings will go to the 4th quarter. 56-14, the Vikings get 1 score in this 2nd half, and they'll look to continue their excellence into the 4th quarter here on DVC Vikings Live. The Vikings will face a third down and long, 3rd down and 14 from the 16-yard line. They can still get the first down from the 1-yard line. Motions the tight end across, and he'll line up as an additional guard. The go route down the far sideline, bumping, passing, grabs it, and pass interference at the end of the play. And I like that from the officials. It's one of those situations where it's a bang-bang play, but a little too much effort by the defensive back. You hold your flag in if the receiver is able to pick up the catch, but you got to throw it in that situation, as it was a terrific ball passed over to Robert Morgan, and just a little too much contact underneath after getting beat by the defender.
Yeah, no doubt. And I think Morgan, the freshman receiver there, did a very nice job. He almost reeled it in with one hand, but they'll obviously take the PI and move forward.
And a positive note here, so the Vikings have faced a 3rd down and very long twice, and one was a terrific pass at Dot and an even better grab by Effadil. And the second one is, you get beat, you got to pass interference. That's just the name of the game.
Right. You're going to take what you can get.
Let's just say giving up 15 yards or half the distance to the goal or whatever it is better than giving up 6.
For sure.
So the Vikings work out a pistol here from the 2-yard line. Sanders gives right-hand side over to Holiday. Spins out of the initial tackler, but it didn't seem like he was able to clear his ankle as the tackle was made by the freshman linebacker Cesar Benavides, and the Vikings will have another negative play here, 2nd down and 5.
I'm honestly surprised,
Second
Max.
and a goal from the 5.
I'm honestly surprised that was Omari Taylor, who's the main back tonight, or one of the main backs tonight, to still be in the game. They're still rotating around, obviously, but I would expect to see more of Amani Holiday, but he was shaken up down on the other side of the field last half, or last quarter.
Yeah, I'm trying to see if that's at 24 or 25.
I believe that's Taylor.
And as a flag comes in, the Vikings are moving in the wrong direction, and it's 24, so it might have been 25 the last time, but Ferrari Miller will check in. And so what was once a 1st down and goal from the 2-yard line will turn into a 1st down and goal from the 10. So situational football here.
You can't see it on your screen, but Amari Taylor is hearing a earful from Coach Collins. Not happy with that last play.
And Sanders will sprint into a huddle. Getting the play call. 2nd down and 10. 14-15 counting down here in the 4th quarter of play after a dominating first half for the Vikings. And Sanders set to pass. Throws the go route down the far sideline. Has to come back into it. And that's just a difficult play there. Sanders needed to lead his wide receiver. Went back shoulder and just not enough space for the play to be made by Robert Morgan. Good coverage on the play by Holden was actually the intended receiver, number 18, and the coverage was done well by Martis Dykeman. So it's 3rd down and 10. Let's see if the Vikings go for 3rd down and goal from the 10-yard line. Looking like they're going to send pressure, and they do. All-out blitz. Quick screen pass to the far-hand side. Jump cuts, breaks the defenders down, sprints towards the pylon, and did he get there in time? A terrific job by Calcano, and Calcano marked down at the half-yard line. Tackle made by Kendre Pride. Oh, my goodness. You had the right play in that situation. All-out blitz, quick screen pass with the flood screen. Just half a yard shy.
Just half a yard shy, and there's not much you can do better there. Very nice work from, I believe that was Jake Calcano on the catch.
Yeah, it was Calcano on the catch, and now under center for the first time tonight. Sanders with the quarterback sneak. And did he get in on 4th and a half yard?
Ooh, I don't know about that spot.
I don't know about that spot at all.
He looked like he got in there.
Sanders seemed like he was riding on top of the offensive lineman, and they're going to spot him now. You got to go metric here. Centimeters away from the goal line.
I'd say even smaller, Max.
Do we got a replay of that?
It's a game of inches, and he looked like he was riding his offensive lineman there for a second, and wow, that's a game of inches.
But now you got a situational football on the other side for your defense.
That's
can
very
you
true.
fold in? Can you stop the running? Can you possibly get a safety?
That's the goal now for the D. They want to keep him pinned as far as possible.
From the shadow of the end zone, a very late substitution from the wide receiver. Maybe now they got 10 seconds left, so no timeout needed to be taken. And it's going to be Osen out of the shotgun. It's a quarterback sprint up the middle, just trying to get as much room as possible. A gain of 2 on the play on essentially the shotgun quarterback dive.
I don't mind that play call on your backed up on your own goal line. You just got to get some room there.
I agree. And that's the problem with a lot of these offenses that don't go under center at all. I mean, in that situation, they might want to just do a quarterback sneak and get a little bit of breathing room on their own side. But instead, you still got to sprint 7 yards to gain 2. Tight enough the right-hand side. And he's lined up as a fullback. It's a give over the back, squeezing forward past the initial surge, and it's a big run out to the 30-yard line, and a huge rip of a play. A 25-plus yard run, and it's explosive run by Jalen Ward. Anton Monroe makes the tackle, possibly the touchdown-saving tackle at the end of the play.
That's the dream if you're Feather River there. You want to get one of those chunk plays from the goal line, blocking held, and Jalen Ward shot through the hole.
And they'll continue to work out of this two-back pistol look that's been so successful with them tonight. Makes a check at the offensive line, calling out his coverage, facing the four-man front of the Vikes. Play action, fake, pressure comes late, and it's a sack.
I think that's going to be a face mask, Max.
52 got the pressure. Derek Ryther made another big play, but likely a face mask will bring it an additional 15 yards forward.
Yeah, you can just see it there on that replay. He got through, bullied through, got past Jalen Ward, and then brought down Ozen by his face mask.
Yeah, that's just a hard situation. You're screaming off the edge. It's taken such a long time to develop, and when you get there, you just get a little bear hug happy, hand gets in the face mask. It's nothing malicious. It's a play that happens.
Right, it happens, and that's something Coach Collins is not going to want to see, and probably something he's discussing right now on the sideline.
And the clock will stop momentarily here with 12:09 left in the fourth quarter of play. 56-14 our score here. We don't have live stats, but I can give you as much of a recall as I can give. An early score after a strip sack fumble by Feather River got them up 7-0, and a big 40-yard plus pass over to Calcano got the Vikings tied up at 7-7. And from that point, huge runs. It was a swing pass to Ferrari Miller. It was a Taylor huge touchdown, another Sean Davis 60-plus yard touchdown. I mean, just time after time, the Vikings had so many explosive plays to put them in the situation, and they are up 48-7 at the. Or 52-7? What was the score at the half?
At the half, it was 49-7.
49-7. There you go. And then at this point, it's just been both secondary units trying to find their groove, and the secondary unit with Jalen Ward as the lead back has been finding a lot of success as the speed option pitch will go over to the freshman back, getting a gain of 9 on the play.
That's Jabari McKinney in on the tackle. That's someone we haven't mentioned tonight, but most likely a second stringer, third stringer who's in learning the trick of the trade. Depth.
There's no need to throw a string on that. Just some nice depth, and every team needs it. Out of the shotgun is Osen. Speed option right. Quarterback keeper this time around, and a terrific job sealing off the play as Dougie Silva able to make the tackle. And this is something that the Vikings have done that the previous regime have not. So Dougie Silva was a terrific linebacker. He's been playing defensive end this year, but the Vikings didn't want to necessarily play him in defense because he's such an asset as the long snapper for the team. And this regime you got to get tape. And they're allowing him to do that, and I respect it. Play action fake. Pressure comes nailed as he let the ball go. Lucky to get the ball off in time as Langston Cook continues his pressure tonight. I mean, call him the pressure cooker because he's bubbling, waiting for that thing to pop off.
He came flying off that left edge, I guess, and Osen was not prepared on the blind side.
And so I don't know if this number is correct off the top of my head, but I believe talking to Coach Vince Borderline, Langston Cook, I believe his uncle is Captain Kirk Morrison, who played for the Raiders for many years and is one of the better announcers on TV now. Oh, and a plentiful lane in front of him. Cleared the green sea as the Vikings defenders didn't have anything for him, and they lost the back in the backfield again as Jalen Ward will get A nice pickup of 12 on the play after the tackle is made by Anton Monroe. Clock continues to count down inside of 10:30 to play here. And Feather River looking to see if they can get another score here. Heavy pistol. And they'll get a check. Nick Goulet continuing to play this game all the way through as well. Both head coaches strong with their vigor. Jet sweep motion, fakes the jet sweep, and it's a give. Nope, it's a play action fake. The post, and it's a caught slant across the middle of the field. The Vikings trying to strip that ball away, but it's a nice pickup for the first down for number 80, I believe, Devontae Peoples.
Nice throw and catch there. Brady Ozen showing his ability to sit in the pocket. Finally got some protection, and Devontae Peoples with a very nice catch.
Trey Dean alongside Donovan Robinson, on the tackle. First down and 10 here from the 14-yard line. An awkward snap just given over to the back. And not much this time around for Jalen Ward as Langston Cook continues his nice night here in the second half.
Langston Cook again, rush move off the end, right in there. Third tackle this drive.
And one of those guys that will definitely gain a lot of good by getting these reps.
No doubt, and I think that's what Coach Collins is aiming to do by being up so much. You want to get that depth in there, as you mentioned earlier.
Tight end motions to the other side of the formation. Fakes the give, and it's a quarterback keeper up the middle. And man, Osen, I know, is listed as a quarterback, 6'3", 195, but the way he runs when he has those options, he looks like a fullback on a dive. He's just head face forward, running hard.
It's bully ball. He's got those two horns at the top of his head. He's going for it.
But they're the Eagles, not the Vikings. The Vikings are the ones with the horns, aren't they?
Right.
Osen lining up in that two-back pistol, the formation that's worked so well. The motion Ethan guard across the formation, and they'll give it left-hand side. Nope, it's a quarterback keeper over the right-hand side. All his players are covered, so he's going to have to keep it himself. And the Vikings did a good job being able to get him down inside of the 5-yard line, but a flag comes in late, and maybe a late hit.
I was going to say, I think that's a face mask on Osen. He got his hand caught in I think, 50 Cooks.
Yeah, and you're exactly right. Number 58, Mason Carr.
They called it on the defense.
Oh, yeah, exactly. It was a face mask on the defense.
Oh, right.
Mason Carr came screaming down that line. I mean, a good job scraping into the flats and making the stop, but you got to play disciplined ball. You can't have those hands high.
Coach
Wrap
Collins
up and play fundamental football. And now a defense chant from the home team here. One thing I noticed at the beginning of this game as well is the Vikings have a significantly larger roster than Feather River College. And it's a quarterback keeper, and it's Langston Cook flying in to make the stop again. A gain of 1, and it's going to be second down and goal from the 2.
He's everywhere right now, and he's showing off some abilities about why he should maybe be starting.
And a substitution of the unit here. I think you got to go back to that two-back pistol. Look, it's been your bread and butter here in the second half, but instead they'll line up tight enough the left-hand side, up back over on the right-hand side. So it is 12 personnel here. Jalen Ward in the backfield will get the give and a push from his quarterback as he squeaks through the gap of the offensive line, and he's into the end zone. 56-20 our score here with 7:26 remaining here in the fourth quarter of play. And take a look at this. At the end of the play, Osen gives him a little shove, and that momentum might have just been enough to squeeze his way through.
No doubt, and I know you just talked about the little shove, but all credit to that left guard, Toby Gertzen. Very nice block to drive the way through for 6.
And the 6'2", 280 freshman out of Fernley, Nevada, pardon me. And, I thought that was no good. It looked like it went wide right, but the officials, they'll give it to him. 56-21 our score here, 7:26 remaining in the fourth quarter play as we take a break here on DVC Vikings Live. Amari Taylor and Montrell Smith, a new kick returner here, so Sean Davis is going to get a break. And it's going to be a squib kick, an end-over-end kick that'll be fielded down at the 24-yard line as one of the upbacks just fell right on top of it. Did we get a number on the upback? And it's 86. Kevin Milnick falling down to the ball, the sophomore wide receiver. And with 7:25 counting down, I mean, we've seen a lot of good for this this Vikings team here. And I think one thing that we got to talk about in the second half is you got your backup quarterback in, you got a lot of backup offensive linemen, but they haven't really given up too much pressure.
No, not
Sanders
at all.
has done a good job when he's been pressured to get the ball out. And I mean, the reserve unit against the mixed group of starters and non-starters, I mean, they've held their weight.
I think that's a credit to coaching as much as players. They've kept them ready, and this is exactly what Coach Collins wants for his program.
Yeah, Dave Garcia has been such a weapon for the Vikings over time. And it's a pot pass given on the jet sweep. And the give goes for 13 as it's a reception technically, but it's a handoff in my heart over to Donovan Ferguson to pick up 13. 97 makes the tackle at the end of the play as it's Nathan Stevens, the freshman defensive lineman for Feather River. 7 minutes counting down. Trying to close this one out. And the game that's been put to rest quite a long time ago. I think somewhere in the first half of play, this ball was put to rest. Breaking out of tacklers in the backfield, able to work his way back between the hash marks, and a Houdini-esque run by Mr. Holiday. He was dead in the backfield, but didn't give up, and then cut his way one way, change of directions, back in the middle of the field, able to pick up the first down.
Amani Holiday, he looked like cooked meat back there, and he evaded not one, not two, but 3 tackles to get up and actually get the first down for DVC.
One of the future stars for the Vikings team for sure. Hasn't gotten too much playing time in meaningful minutes, but man, he's definitely proving his worth right now.
This is the first time I've seen Feather River go single high center fielder.
And a give up the middle, and this time it's Holiday falling forward for a gain of 5. One thing I do want to shout out to this unit of the Vikings here is it doesn't really matter the tight end in the game. They do a really good job motioning. I mean, they run power, pulling the tight end, and you got to be a strong physical tight end if you're going to do that, because typically power's run by the guard, but having the ability to throw a guy like that gives you an even better lane and an even better cutback. Sanders takes a 3-step drop off his back foot, throws it into the flat, and it's caught at the 42-yard line by Amani Effadil as he gets enough yardage for the first down. Needed 5, got 5 on the dot, and it's a first for the Vikes out to the 42.
Elfadil, he's listed as a combo tight end, wide receiver, running back, so I guess Debo Samuel plus.
There you go. Debo Samuel at 6'4", right?
He prides his game on a mix of speed and power, and we just saw that flash of speed there from the freshman.
And he says it's running back, but I think you got to say fullback in that situation. Screen pass over the near hand side, and it's caught by the Vikings. Out to the hash mark, 10-5, touchdown Vikings. Miles Dixon got the screen pass. Feather River was not anywhere near that play, and he just did a full-out 40-yard dash into the end zone for 62-21.
And that is something that Coach Collins has done brilliantly all night. He sees the pressure, it's whether they disguise it or not, and his screenplay is dialed up to take DVC down the field.
And I don't know if this is an official stat or not, but I believe at 62 points, this might be the most points scored in Vikings history. Hold us down, kick is up, and it's 63, another record here, 63-21 with 4:54 counting down here in the fourth quarter of play.
A quick shout out there to Michael Vaccaro. He's now hit 9 extra points. So after coming off a rough couple past weeks, he's really finding his form, and I think this coaching staff is going to trust him going into next week.
And some scores from around Vikings yesterday, I believe. Volleyball in their Big A opener weren't able to get it done against ARC. Soccer today played earlier at 12:30, I believe, was the starting time of that match. Ended up drawing 1-1 at the end of it. There was an early score from Butte, and then the Vikings in the 83rd minute were able to get the equalizer to end up coming away with that draw. Joe Hickey on DVC Vikings Live does a terrific job. You've got to tune in because, I mean, he's a professional. And some other scores around right before the half. 14 Laney, 10 Shasta. Shasta came into that game as one of the top offenses in the 3C2A. I believe they were averaging 500 plus yards per game, but in that one, Laney's defense seems to be getting it done as it's 14-10 right before the halftime break as we get into the final 5 minutes of this one. 63-21, the Vikings have been in the driver's seat since about halfway through the first quarter of play, but they play this one all the way out, and they'll boot this one away. A nice kick will be fielded down at the 1 yard line, and a reaching grab by the up back. Tackled down. I mean, a terrific job by the Vikings there. Let's try to get a number on the tackler. It's 37, I believe, for the Vikings. That is Zachary Sandoval, the sophomore defensive back. And did you see the returner?
Yeah, it looked like it was number 30, Jalen Ward, on the return.
So Jalen Ward has been the other man out there for all those kickoffs of the Vikings so far tonight. Ethan Gard has got the majority of them, but yeah, Ward showing his ability to be able to pick up a couple yards after the kick. The kick was brought down at the 16.
Do you think at some point they just wonder, like, what am I doing back here? Like, I don't.
No, you got to be prepared.
You just take your reps for sure.
Yeah, you got to take your reps because, I mean, it's football, man. You never know when your last snap is going to be, so you got to treat every single play like it could be the last one, and a physical run off the left side is met meat against meat. The big boys up front battle, and it's 32 making the tackle. That's
Keemon Brown.
Yeah, Keemon Brown.
Back in it again, the former red shirt from Laney, all-conference defensive back in high school. And like you said earlier, he plays fast, physical, and technical. The 5'10", 185-pound redshirt sophomore out of Oakland, California.
And the running back who's bidding here for the lion's share of the second half, Jalen Ward, will line up sidecar left. It's a speed option. The pitch will go over to him. And a terrific read by the Vikings here. And a stomp as a celebration as it was Ray Flood, the freshman defensive back, stinging down that line. And that's the thing about the option. Yes, it can confuse the defenders, but when you've been seeing it all night long, you start to key in on certain reads, certain gives by the offensive line. And that time, I mean, Flood hasn't really played too many snaps tonight, but he's been watching from the sideline fully into this one, and he makes it a 3rd down and 11.
It seems like DVC are finally picking up on what's going on. I mean, they've been doing that all night, but freshman Ray Flood making a great tackle. He blitzes past Garn and makes a really nice tackle on Ozen. Or excuse me, the running back on that play.
So from the 15-yard line, it's a 3rd down and 11. The DJ getting in trouble a little bit, playing blow the whistle, a Bay Area staple here, showing them Quincy boys what's up. 3:25 counting down here. The Vikings crowd is still alive here late in the fourth quarter. Sprints out left as Osen, eyes downfield. Hit as he releases the ball and nearly intercepted as Keemon Brown was there on coverage. And it'll be a 4th down. And we'll likely see the punting unit coming out here at the 3:15-minute mark as the clock stops with incompletion.
Jamil Shelby, the freshman linebacker, came blitzing hard in, and he had one goal from the beginning of that play to annihilate the quarterback. And safe to say, he did his job.
I mean, just good job by Osen to be able to get that ball out. Amari Taylor will line up heels at the 46-yard line. And on the other side, the heels of Gary Chenep will be on the goal line.
Something I noticed before that 3rd down play, Max, was that Coach Collins was on the sideline. They're up by 42 points, and he's still telling his team to get loud, motioning for them to just keep getting louder and louder.
And a fair catch made by Amari Taylor at the 40-yard line, so the Vikings will get another opportunity here inside of the Feather River part of the field. And we were joking about this earlier, but the game has spent, I want to say, like 70% of the game at the 40-yard line of Feather River. It seems like the Vikings get here, and they just score a big play, and then the drive seemingly stalls out for Feather River around this point.
No doubt. It seems like it was part of their game plan, just to keep them deep. And, well, I mean, that's just coincidence, I guess.
So the Vikings likely going to continue to implement their running game here. And the back for the majority of the fourth quarter for the Vikings is Holiday. Sanders will motion his receiver across the formation, give it off on the jet sweep. Has a blocker in front of him, out to the numbers. And he's tackled after a gain of 4 on the play as the give was a flip pass over to Jordan Gray. Or pardon me, it's Donovan Ferguson. Tackle made by 32, Cesar Benavidez, his second of the day. And the clock continues to count down, 2:43 turning down. The Vikings will have to run one more play before the 2-minute timeout, and they'll line up in the pistol. Sanders out of the pistol, and a miscommunication once again as he just has to take a rear seat, and a sack will be credited to Cesar Benavidez. So back-to-back plays for Benavidez as the miscommunication between Sanders and Holiday results in a loss of, that was a loss of 8 at the end of it, right? And
that sounds about right.
That'll put the Vikings behind the chains, 3rd down and 12. And that'll likely send us to the 2-minute timeout. So the clock's counting down. The Vikings are in the huddle. They won't get a playoff in time, and they lead 63-21 here in the fourth quarter of play. 2-minute timeout. We'll be back on the other side here on DVC Vikings Live. So the Vikings facing a 3rd down and long here. I wouldn't be surprised to see a draw, but instead a pass for Sanders. Plenty of time to throw. Sanders will loft it over to the 32-yard line, and that might be enough. The second effort is enough to get the first down. The Vikings pick up the first, and it goes over to Amani Holiday.
I think that catch was by Miles Dixon, Max.
Let's see. We got a replay in front of us, and yes, you are correct. It was Miles Dixon. And that's enough to pick up the first down. So, yes, they have had their hiccups in the second half with the second unit, but, I mean, they've gotten out of a lot of bad situations here.
No doubt, and it's been a lot of great throws and a lot of good pocket presence from the sophomore, Marcus Sanders.
Clock continues to churn here. 1:18 remaining, a give over to Holiday off the right side. And Holiday had plenty of space before he was tackled after a gain of 5.
It looks like Feather River not opting to use their timeouts, so DVC can kneel this one out if they choose.
Jackson Powell with the pickup. Yeah, and I think in this situation, just give it one more time after the clock hits 40 and just call it a day. Give Holiday some more burn.
Coach
Pistol
Collins.
Spread. Sanders will give it off for likely one last time, and Sanders will get near the first down marker, drop down at the 20, so the Vikings night will end in the red zone of the Golden Eagles, and that'll give us our final score. Oh, no, I think the Vikings actually have to run it one more time. They didn't get enough time off the clock. About a 2-second game clock, play clock difference. Technically, you could take the penalty and then get the 10-second runoff, but I don't think the Vikings want any more penalties tonight. That's been one of the negatives that the Vikings have had. I mean, in a better situation, you might just kind of lose your you might lose a game due to these penalties, but, I mean, it's always better to learn from a win than it is to do from a loss, and especially a blowout win. The final handoff is going for a first down. They're not even going to try to stop the clock for the chains to reset because you don't need it. Clock hits 0, and DVC wins it 63-21. On a night that the Vikings dominated from the get-go, they'll take this one and a huge momentum-building win for the Vikings here. They squeaked out a tight one against ARC last week where they were able to get out of it, 28-21, getting a stop at the 1-yard line to end the game. And this time around, the Vikings close it out in the first quarter.
Doing a really nice job of taking momentum from last week and bringing it into this week. And hey, Max, if you told this team after week 1 that they'd be 2-1, they would absolutely take that, and they're going to look to go 3-1 next week.
So the Vikings will go up to Sacramento City College to play the Panthers up in the state capitol next time around. We got 2 road games because I believe the Vikings are going up to Shasta after that, a bye week. So we will be back in 3 weeks, and that'll be a fun one on DVC Vikings Live. So, I mean, for our staff, everybody getting this thing together tonight, Arthur Gilbert running our cameras, CJ Nwakor. There you go. I got the pronunciation. There you go. Shinyo running our scoreboard. Our broadcast engineer, Kayla Neal, possibly doing some sideline for us next week. Colin Dolvan, my name's Max Agrest, bringing you the action of the Vikings all year long. And we had a fun one on our hands. 63-21 the final score as the Vikings rip off a massive victory, sending FRC to 0-3 and advancing to 2-1. And you got to see that number start ticking up. Maybe a top 10 team by the time we get back here for the next game, right?
Wouldn't rule it out, for sure.
So with that, we'll close our broadcast out. I love you guys so much for joining us tonight. It's been a pleasure bringing you the coverage. And this has been a DVC Vikings production, all student ran except for myself. And, I mean, the volunteers make this thing happen. And I got love for you guys, too. Thank you so much. And until next time, as always, horns up.